The content presented on the following show is intended for satirical and educational purposes only. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by panelists and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the host, production team, or channel. Additionally, any third-party content featured in this program is used in compliance with fair use under United States copyright law, which allows for commentary, criticism, news report, teaching, and research. Viewer discretion is advised, and we encourage independent thought and discussion.
Echo all light.
Black people can't be racist. Prejudice, yes, but not racist. Racism describes a system of disadvantage based on race. Black people can't be racist since we don't stand to benefit from such a system.
And this whole march adds drama to this total drama.
It is known in the black community that most, not all, but most black people are racist toward white Americans.
You say it's known. What do you mean? Where's your basis for that?
They have been brainwashed over the last 50 years or so to believe that America is a racist society and that white folks are trying to hold them back.
They told us we wouldn't get here. Now with those who said that we would get here only over their dead bodies. All the world today knows that we are here and we are standing before the forces of power in the state of Alabama saying we ain't gonna let nobody turn us around.
Grandfather came to this country with nothing. He couldn't even speak the language. But he worked hard and he made a place for himself and his family. Now why can't you people do the same? Hey, my grandfather built this country, man!
Let's talk about George Floyd. You said George Floyd's death was a terrible thing.
Terrible.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way. More white people.
It's time to do.
Welcome to a Friday edition of the Team Petty Show. We are almost there, friends. We're almost there. Great, super panel yesterday. Today, the breaking ground is break. We are going to make a little break of the racial topics because tomorrow is going to probably be a little bit ugly. So today we try to go a different route, okay? Before I introduce my guests, let me just make sure I take care of some announcements. So tomorrow, me and Jake are going to have a debate about the video review that he did on the Piers Morgan situation. Uh, I consider Jake a friend of the show, but after what he said yesterday, like it's probably going to be the last time we are going to uh, not be on the same panel because we frequent the same places, but probably uh, do something together. So tomorrow, me and Jake is the end game. Uh, Time to say goodbye, but we go out with a blast, and we're going to talk about uh, what he said on his show a couple days ago. Okay, there's the plan on Sunday, Mother's Day. Is one woman enough? The modern woman are satisfied with just one man. Okay, we are going to make sure we have a diverse panel for the infamous ladies first show today. We're going to tackle something that Joy Taylor said. She said that a God-fearing man for her is a red flag. For whatever reason, she is going counter what most women say in 2025. So we're going to try to dissect it, try to see if religious people are better in relationships, and we'll go from there. Last but not least, I want to thank Theo for being the sponsor of the show yesterday. Thank you very much, Theo. I appreciate you. Salute to you, salute to you, salute to you. Today, again, the goals $100 via Cash App or PayPal for the hamburger fund.
I would like to buy the burger.
I would like to buy a hamburger.
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 The burger.
And 50 memberships as usual. We are 600. We want to keep that mark and above. So please, please, please make sure that you become an untouchable if you are not. Okay?
The untouchable empire, baby.
Last but not least, and don't quote me, I'm going to try to put this show out, but I don't think I have time. Okay? Because there's a lot of things to do. I still couldn't figure out the store. Jesus Christ. So there's a lot of things that I want to do this weekend. I'll make sure to let you know. But this probably is going to be one of the I can sleep, let me wake up, and let me do a show in the middle of the night. Okay? But I can't promise you nothing. So just food for thought. So let me present my friends here. All the links are going to be pinned in the description, okay? And if we repurpose these, we are going to make sure they are tagged too, so you can find them. But I think most of y'all are already familiar with them. Let me start first on the top left corner. Terry actually is in the building. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me on, buddy. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much for being here. We're going to the other side. It's probably traumatized. His first time on our show didn't went. Is our new friend. Marty is in the building.
Good evening, people.
Good evening, Marty. Your clip is making rounds, Marty. Welcome to the Team Fatty Show. We have an old friend, Neve. She's in the building. Thank you very much for being in here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, one of the untouchable finest, Patty Red. She's in the building. Hey, Red, did you saw your sister the other day? You saw it, right? I'm going to make it happen, right? I'm telling you, I promise you, I'm going to make it happen. Thank you very much for being here. My brother Cheeky is in the building. Oh, damn. I cursed this thing. That's crazy. Thank you very much for being here, Cheeky, and Cheeky Cam too. Thank you very much for coming back.
It's good.
And the lovely wife school, she's in the building. Friends, we have a few more friends that are going to join the conversation. But for now, I like this panel. Balanced. This is going to be fun. So, religion. Let's play what Joy Taylor said on a podcast with Paul Pierce and the other lady that I don't remember the name, but she was here with us the other day, and she was a nobody, and now she's doing a podcast with Paul Pierce. If anyone knows an NBA player that wants to make a podcast with a fat fuck from Portugal, I will be very interested in collabing. Okay, I want to get out of here too. I want to be rich too. So let's see what she said, and then we go from there. And shout out to Princess Cami saying beautiful people. Salute to the panel. Cheeky has to be on my panel so she can super chat me. That's incredible. Very mean of you, Cami, but I see what you're doing. Let's keep going.
I'm less and less interested in religious men, if I'm being honest with you. I told Paul this the other day. I've had some negative experiences with people that lead with their religion.
Are you religious?
Not really. No. So I would say I'm a person of faith, but I'm not. I was raised in a Baptist church, very, very religious family. I don't think that just because you're a Christian that you are, not living a good life. I'm just saying, if that's the first thing that you bring to the table, it's a red flag for me because
I don't they're hiding behind their religion.
I don't care. Why? What does this matter to me?
With that before? That's what that happened.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have a trigger behind that.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
I absolutely. Yeah. I'm acknowledging. I'm triggered by this, and it's it's become a red flag for me. Wow. I'm not saying that if you believe in God that you are a red flag. I also don't give a fuck. So just tell somebody else about it. I think for some men, they think that that's what women are looking for. Like looking for a good Christian man.
Yeah.
And some people are, which is not me. So
that's my thing about religion too. Like, like man may not like lead with it, but some men needed to pull them out of places. Like when there's nothing else, like I felt like religion like pulled me out of some dark places.
Mm-hmm. Religion or faith?
Faith, probably faith,
right?
More so than like,
because to me those are two different things.
Okay,
believing in God, having spirituality, having a connection with your spiritual side, praying, all of those things I do.
Yeah,
but
same. But religion is different.
To lead with like like let's go to church on Sunday.
I'm Christian.
So, little bit of double talk. She said she doesn't like it. That she said I don't care. But then she went back and said, I don't give a fuck, but she does. So then I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, but I pray, but a lot of things going on, right? So we're going to start with, is calling yourself a God-fearing man a red flag or a rare flex? Let me get Wife School and Petty Red and Neve first before everybody goes. Okay, is if a man comes to you and he says, I am a God-fearing man, do you see it as a red flag, or do you see it as a flex, something that you actually find it positive? The first 2 or 3 topics, I'm going to make it 20 minutes because I know they extend, and then afterwards we start to reduce it to 15 and 10 so you can get a little bit more of a fast pace. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Fatty, for having me.
And by the way, everyone can intervene after, like, this show is an interactive show, so everybody can intervene, even if you're not in the middle. Go ahead, White.
Okay. Well, I view, if a man says he's God-fearing, if he mentions God, I'm like, oh, that's a nice thing because that's something I follow. I'm God-fearing. I'm interested. I love God. He's my thing. You know what I'm saying? So when he says those things, when he presents it to me, it's like, okay, cool. That's just an indicator. So now I have to look for his fruits. I have to see his verbiage, as we heard. Joy, she said, oh, I have faith, but yet you're cursing and doing all this. So you're like, really? Really? So it's like, you really have to prove a person, not necessarily that them saying that gives them all the way in the door or gives them brownie points, but it is a nice indicator. But after that, that's when we have to go a little bit further and say, okay, well, the vetting, the questions, and your experiences and things like that.
Would you say that that is your prior? Like, if you had to put believing in God on a totem pole, would that be number 1, 2, 3, 7, 15?
It would be number 1, because and personally in my life, when I started putting him at 3, 15, and 17, I got 3, 15, and 17 results, which was crazy inconsistency and made me just have a headache. And then I had to go back to the drawing board and just say, Lord, lead me. Lord, what do you want? You know what I'm saying? Because when I did what I want, it was haywire.
Would you give a chance to a guy that on paper is your dream guy on everything other than believing in God?
I would give a chance. Like, I would go on a date or entertain conversations, because sometimes people do change. Sometimes they are inspired by who they're with, or maybe like how Joy said, she had a bad experience. So maybe that guy had a bad experience, fell off for a while, but because you came in their life, they're like, you're a real one. So I can give it a try. So I always give that possibility. I'm optimistic.
Let me make it more specific. Is Jason Momoa? He has the Jason Momoa bank account. He's everything you dream for. He will not be religious. He might be spiritual or whatever the person. He will not become the religious guy that you want to. He's not going to church with you on Sundays. He's going to be Jason Momoa. Still give him a chance, or is there's a pass for you?
It has to be a pass. It has to be a pass. Not because he's a bad guy, because that's not my guy, right? So that means that somebody that aligns with him, that's her man. That's not my man, because eventually it's going to be, some sort of resentment. Like, okay, so, hey, I have this interested, I just read this chapter about Psalms. Girl, I don't want to hear all that. So that's going to deflate me.
No, he can hear it.
You know what I'm saying? So he's not going to change. So
he can hear it. I hear religious people all the time. I just don't believe in what they believe. We can talk about religion. I actually find it fascinating. I learn every day. I actually wish that I know more about religion. But just because I don't subscribe to it, that doesn't mean that I would listen. I'm still your husband or your boyfriend. I listen to you talk about Housewives of Atlanta. Why would I not listen to you talk about something that you believe dearly?
Well, when it comes to that aspect, even though the guy may be ideal, at the end of the day, reality, I would have to submit to him. Now, if he tells me, put down that daggone Bible right now, I'm tired of it. I don't want, it's like that would be a conflict, because I love God so much. You know what I'm saying? So it's better just to be with somebody that aligns with you. That's not my man. I have to accept it. Yes, he's amazing and has a car, and I love cars, but unfortunately, it will come down the road.
Sorry, Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa just got back to the motherfucking
belongs to the streets.
It's fine. You're going to find a new one. Red, you had like a little bit of an echo on the back. I don't know if there was something, but I'm going to unmute you now, and I'll give you feedback. It's the air conditioner. You have the air conditioner, bless it. But it's fine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. The same question. No, it's not just the air conditioner. It seems like you have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 testing.
Testing.
We're going to try like this, and then we go from there.
I can switch mics when we do that.
Yeah. Switch mics if it's possible. That will be great.
Better.
Perfect. Now you can. Yes, this one is perfect. Don't you ever use the other one again. Throw it in the trash and then put it on. If you bought it, go return it, please. please. Just yes, thank you, Marty. Do so she can remember that visually. God-fearing man, is that a flex for you or a red flag?
It's not a flex, nor a red flag.
Uh-oh.
Because sort of what Bryce was said, a lot of they can say, I'm God fearing, but so my next question to him would be, what do you mean by that? Because a lot of people have different definitions of what God fearing is. So I would like to know more about what he views as being God fearing. So I don't see it as a flex or a red flag.
A religious man. Would that be more specific?
I'm not interested in a religious person. Religion is flawed. I'd rather want someone that is spiritual, that believes in a higher power, whatever that is. But I don't subscribe to being religious. Yeah.
Would you
Because
disqualify someone for being religious?
no, I wouldn't disqualify them, but if I'm looking for someone, I wouldn't want them to say, yeah, I'm a religious person, because people can be religious but don't have a relationship or spirituality. They just are religious to the letter, meaning I'm just going to church. I'm just reading the Bible, but I'm not following nothing that's in it.
So let me change the question. You meet oil tycoon from the Middle East. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
6'3" as a castle, whatever they have like on the Middle East. I don't know the name. Right? And he comes to you and he says, hey, now he pulls up in his camel, right? And he has like three Ferraris on the back. 3 Ferraris on the back. And he says, hey, Red, I like you and I want you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you give him a chance?
Yes.
Even if he's a Muslim?
Yes.
Even if you have to follow Muslim law?
Yes.
That's interesting. That's actually pretty interesting. Let me go to Neve. Neve, when you hear God-fearing man, like what comes to your mind? A red flag or more of a flex?
I think absent any sort of vision for the relationship and any long-term goals, it's a bit of a virtue signal, I think, in the context of shopping for a partner. And I think what women see when they see that sort of statement is they see the hypocrisy of religion as a whole. I think when we're going back to the video that we watched of that woman, it didn't seem that she was particularly bothered by religion, but her trigger might have actually been hypocrisy. And so people leading with values they don't actually practice in reality, I think, is a big one. But my personal situation, my personal circumstance here, I think would be more of like a non-resistant non-belief. I'm open to the idea of a religious experience that could be so overwhelming that I would have no other choice but to go towards God. I do have a religious framework that existed in my family growing up. And so I'm not afraid of religion. I don't think that it's a bad thing. But what I think what I think is undeniably the case is that there's a purity culture that surrounds a lot of the religious people, especially people on the right. And so for people who are dating, it's important for them to be able to discern between people who are leading with religious values in every day in life and practice, and then people who are kind of using it and weaponizing it against things they don't like, right? So absent an actual plan, it's just a virtue signal, and I think it's a bit of a red flag.
Let me get cheeky. Teriyaki and Marty, because he's nodding his head, he's going to go last. Cheeky, God-fearing man. Usually when we hear people saying that, do you think there's a flex or you think there's more of a red flag for today's standards, 2025?
No, I don't think it's either. But if I had to lean, I guess it.
The 51%.
I don't think it's either. Man.
You don't think either?
Yeah, I just feel like because most men, I don't feel like really lead with that. Like, who cares?
So, and I'm going to give my opinion before Terry and Marty go, so we can get a little bit of back and forth. To me, it would be a flex if I actually saw most of people that claim religion or God fearing actually move that way. It's like Neve says, is like a
Oh,
purity.
okay, I get what you're
It's
saying.
virtue signaling, right?
Okay.
Oh, I'm a vegan, and then I go up and to the shopping mall, and you are at Burger King getting a triple whooper, right? You can
Okay. So
say
yeah.
I am a climate change advocate, and then you have a private jet, right? It's something that looks good at face value, but when you actually dive a little bit more, dive a little bit more deeper than
Mhm.
the surface level, you see women with that in their bios. They don't even follow their man, let alone God, right? You see men that have that in their bios do a lot of behavior that is not conductive to what actually the text says that they subscribe. So I personally don't have a problem with it, but when I see someone with that in their bio with some scriptures with like those people that every time they wake up they post like some scripture thing. In my
Yeah.
opinion, like is I understand, but is that something that you truly believe, and is it something that you live by? So I have, in my opinion, I have a negative opinion about that. Not because of the text per se, not because of the religion per se, not because of the God per
Okay.
se,
Well then,
it's
yeah.
because
I
of the person.
well then, if that's yeah, I would say that's a red flag. Like just generally speaking, it's not really a flex.
Mm.
So I think that's more of a red flag than it is a flex.
Uh, Let me get Terry and Marty here real quick in the middle. Like, what y'all think when y'all hear the God fearing man thing?
Let
I
me go
see Marty
last.
chomping at the bit. You want to go last? Because
Yeah,
seeing
I'll go after
you,
you because I'm chopping at the bit for real. So go
yeah,
Oh,
ahead.
you look, yeah, bro. Yeah, I have a kind of medium-winded answer. Like in terms of the way I saw it, like I think she was initially interested in like the quote unquote God-fearing man because like you have that kind of like safe commitment. He's going to church every Sunday. He's keeping that commitment every Sunday, rail, hain, or shine. He is going to church. He is a man of his word. You know what I mean? So he's kind of like an easier kind of like not get too crude, but like an easier prey to kind of like settle down with. He's safe. He's easy. And then I think the reason why she wasn't is because like because she was his wife, she would then have to extend on that sense of duty, that sense of responsibility to keep up that um I don't know what the right word would be for it, but like just that kind of like that effort to keep that up, or responsibility, duty, plenty of words to describe it, but um fundamentally, like for me, I think it's a very ambiguous question because technically anybody can call themselves God fearing. Do you know what I mean? Just to because if they sense the drift goes in the over the window, whatever. But or like you can even buy Jesus merch off Nala Ray, who's a former OF star. Like, do you know what I mean, it's crazy world. It's crazy 2025. For real, buddy. Like,
it's the car
um,
star with the cross on their chest.
yeah, if you want to go full kind of like that direction, let's go, baby. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of and has the Michael Knowles seal of approval. But like that's why you see like the likes of Pearl, she's like waist deep in like friendly fire because there's a lot of these people who will say one thing, they'll have all these quotes on the Twitter, but they're just as nasty as any one of us when the lights go off. You know what I'm saying? And like fundamentally, like that's why I kind of abstract out. Ladies, all you really need to do, my one piece of advice to ladies is like, if you want to judge a man, does he keep his word? Simple as. And as Pretty Red basically said, if if the price is right enough, it's just like the song goes. I don't care about them other girls. Just be good to me. You know what I'm saying?
Don't you ever do that shit again?
Yeah, man. For real. For real.
That was terrible. That was that was terrible. So if you have to put yourself in the one of two sides, you would go for the more of a red flag than a flex. That's for you. Yeah. If you had to go, like, if you had to 51%, if you see that, Would you go more for the like suspicious? This is kind of like a red flag, or you go more?
This feels like a cop out, but for real, Fatty, it depends on what age I am. If I'm 20 years old, like I don't want anything got to do with religious. I want to do my fun phase or whatever they're calling it nowadays. But if I'm 30, then I'm like one of those, like I'm like an NFL running back. I need to retire on a good contract. You know what I'm saying, Fatty? Like, because like
what if he's a woman? What if he's a woman with I need the God-fearing man with like in the bio? Do you see there's a more of
no, man. That's to me. That's kind of like sus with the amount of like kind of like stuff I've seen from Pearl. It's like and from Andrew Wilson too. Like this whole thing of like you're saying one thing, but like Lauren Southern, that's a quote unquote God-fearing woman, but she's there like banging Destiny. You know what I'm saying? Like pick a side.
Yes,
you know?
yeah, that last one, special. Yeah, that last one was a little bit too much. Let me get smart here. And shout out to my boy Paulo Feza. This man got a haircut and he looks 25. Shout out to you, Paulo Feza. I was like, what the hell is this person? Shout out to you, Paulo. Shout out to your barber. Thank you very much for being here. We are waiting for 1 or 2 more friends. So please like the video. The likes are for free. Marty, you said that you want to address. Actually, let me put it back to 5 minutes. 5 minutes and interrupted, Marty. You got it.
So I'm going to go over my little review of how I see the overview of everything. Then I'm going to address Red, and then I'm going to go ahead and address Neve on 2 things. So if you look at things, it's a red flag and it's also not a red flag. I'll go ahead and state, my view of this. I'm a professional bodybuilder, so I look at things from a different perspective. If a woman looks at me, she's going to see me as a red flag. You think, oh no, it's appealing. He's, all these other great things and bells and whistles is great. It's not what you think it is, because I'm going to conflate the two. If a woman's going to see me, she's going to see discipline. Oh, I can't eat this crap, put this trash in my body anymore. I have to adhere to a certain lifestyle. I have to, I can't be out at the club late at night. I can't be flashing everything. So when you think about this, I'm going to conflate the two. What Red said is she made a false dialectic. She's saying one thing. She said, maybe you could clear this up for me. You said religious men are a certain way. No, we have several different kinds of ways that they could be. If you are adhering to strict discipline, rules, structure, things like this, you can be bad at this or good at this. You could be a contrarian or not a contrarian. So if you look at this from a broad perspective, we can go then look at what Neve said. Neve, right? Nev? So if we look at this whole thing, this could be her past experience with that one guy. People will look at one experience and paint a whole thing as an umbrella term now. Oh, it's just bad as a red flag. Now, what Tarek said, I don't know, I may be screwing names up.
Everybody, Neve, and say her name once so he can actually.
I'm screwing everything up. Go ahead.
You said it. It's Neve.
So, okay, cool. So what I'm saying is it is a red flag and it's not a red flag. Christianity is a patriarchal structure, meaning patriarchy, rule of the father. Anybody that's a feminist or adheres to feminine structures is not going to listen to submit, which to me, my definition of submission is voluntary cooperation or the word obey. They're not going to follow any of this stuff. You're going to be a red flag to feminists, modern women who subscribe to feminism or rad fams or anything like that. So I think that it's a red flag as far as that, because it weeds out the people that you don't want, right? And I do believe what Tarek said, you have to be a man of your word. You have to follow this. I'm not against the word religion. I don't think that that's a bad thing, because we practice things religiously. I go to the gym religiously. I'm strict. So I think that if I practice what I preach and do things, religion isn't necessarily a bad thing. Now, what White School said, I'm going to go ahead parlay what she said. 2 things. The reason why I don't like women who say they're spiritual is because I like the feel good of everything else. I don't like the structure. So let me go ahead and find something that's spiritual. The reason why I like religion more is because there's more discipline, structure, everything like this. I know Red said she doesn't like the word religious, but there's discipline in that. There is no structure in spirituality. It's emotions, which are not consistent. Up one day, down the next. We're not doing that.
So
that's how Christianity is.
I did not say that.
Oh, if you can clear that up for me, that would help a lot.
He asked me, what do I prefer? My own personal.
Yeah.
I do not want a overly religious person because I am not religious.
What's overly religious to you? Too much structure, some boundaries.
Right now.
What are we talking about here? What are you? I need you to reconcile this real quick.
I know, because that's going to come up in the other questions that we have, but that's up to Fatty. We can get into it now.
But you bring up a great point, Marte, because like you're talking about the definition, because you even said like you go to the gym religiously. Even the concept of like what Pretty Red was saying, where it's like the spiritual. Like you could explain like what she talks about in terms of spirituality to some sort of essence of like
I can do this.
Like,
so
you know?
I
want
to address me first.
One second, please, because I know what she's talking about. This second question, then I get Paula Fessa in the middle when you guys get over your little disagreement. But she's referring to the second question: the woman view male faith as strength or as subtle control. That's probably what she's referring to. So go ahead, you guys can get back and forth, and we'll go from there.
Go ahead, Red.
I just want to clarify something. I didn't say that he can't be religious. His question was to me, was God-fearing, if a man say I'm God-fearing, is it a red flag or is it a flex? I said it's neither. Because I need to ask him, okay, what do you mean by God-fearing? Because a lot of men and people have different definitions of what God-fearing means. It can be, to some people, it's just a belief in God. That's God-fearing. That doesn't have the discipline or the structure or the rules or everything that you named. It doesn't have that. So when they say it's God-fearing, I need to know what you mean by that. So it's not a flex or a red flag until I find out more about what you mean by God-fearing.
So, Red, can I ask you a question? Who's the arbiter of what God-fearing is? Is it you or the man? Who decides what that is? How do you determine whether or not he's God-fearing or not?
That's why I would ask him those questions. There are some questions.
You ask him questions, but okay, so he answers all the questions. What would that be to you, though? That's what I'm saying.
What do you mean, what would it be to me?
So we're talking. We're on a date. We're talking. We getting to know each other. We just came from the movies. We're talking in the parking lot, about to go our separate ways, right? And I'm like, Red, I believe in God. You know, I'm a God-fearing man. I answered all your questions.
My question going to be to you is, what God are you talking about? Because there are many gods.
Okay, so I say the triune God of Christianity. I say that.
You're going to have to explain it to me, because how does he know that I'm a Christian or I believe in Christian God?
Right. Then we go into that, and I dive deep into the talk about all this other stuff.
I need to know
more.
Can I
just give a quick example?
You mean by that?
Can I give a quick example? And friends, I need y'all to do one mic at a time, please. Okay, go ahead, Derek.
Red, if I said if God-fearing man meant a man that only fears a higher power, would you agree with that?
Yes.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying, fellas? It's like it's just a disconnect. It's just the language. That's all it is.
So I believe in one God. I don't fear any man but God. That's it.
That's your higher power. So therefore, so I mean, what is the issue? I don't understand what the problem is.
So am I a red flag if I just believe in one higher power? Is that it?
I don't know if you're not. His question was, are you a red flag or a flex? I say neither.
Okay. I mean, I would say, how would you determine that? But that's a whole. We'll get into that.
I mean, I think you played into the virtue signal angle a little with your initial example. I think what you provided, and please correct me if I misunderstood what you were getting at. You talked about how your lifestyle away from religion, or maybe tied into religion, is your experience at the gym, your discipline around the way you eat, and maybe the way you feel about your body or whatever, your consumption. And I thought that was great, but when you threw it into the context of like a relationship, you looked at the woman's, the way you perceive her, actions, behaviors, and abilities to be, and you saw those as as a wall rather than something that would be enticing to a person, right? And so it's sort of the same virtue signal that you're doing with religion. It's doing a lot of lifting.
It's actually not. But we can get into this. The reason why I'm going to say it's
wait,
not
sorry,
good.
could you just, sorry, I know you're interrupting me. So if I'm able to, you can do that as long as you just steel man honestly what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I'll still man your position. You basically said, what you're presenting is a wall, meaning, something that's anti what they are, something that's maybe off-putting. If they see something, it's a display, right? They see it, it turns them off, they're out, right? Am I saying it?
Not necessarily. I
Round the
think that
ballpark?
the idea of somebody being a God-fearing man would, in an ideal circumstance, mean that they have a set of principles they live by in the interest of their family and their household, and then hopefully the interest of the nation that they live in. That's an ideal circumstance from a secular position. But I think what you're saying in somebody who has like an undisciplined lifestyle sees you as maybe of like a fitness person, and in your mind they're going to say, well, if they don't accept you, it's because they want to eat what they want, they want they want to party, they don't want to wake up early and lift those weights. And what I'm saying to you is that that thought process that you have and the ideas that you carry around your gym lifestyle, that can still be dragged into the religious circumstance. And so I think you're kind of, it's a red flag because you've clearly have a wall built around these underlying assumptions that don't bear out.
The reason why it does bear out, and I'll give you a reason why it bears out. Let's say you have a field of rice, right? And this field of rice is great. You're going to feed a whole village off of this. Everything is good. And there's a certain fungus. When this fungus gets in this rice, it pretty much infects everything. Everybody gets sick and it's no longer rice anymore. What happens is the reason why we do have to build a wall, you're correct to some part. The reason why we have to build some kind of wall around us is because we need to set some standards that are unmoving. I think even the red pill community, as descriptors using this, can say that boundaries are extremely important in relationships, just like what I'm saying. If you do absent boundaries, you allow infiltration, people to change the structure within to warp it and be something else. That's why you have a lot of Western churches with women pastors and everything, because they've allowed something in. One person can be like a walking church to some degree. If you let something in, and it warps this, you have to imagine, and Neve, I'm going to give you an example. You have two people, me and Red get together in the parking lot, like I said, right? She's asking me what God is, and I'm telling her all this other stuff. Somebody is going to convert the other. What's going to happen? So men have to hold their ground if they truly believe in that one God. They have to hold this ground, and that's what the gym example hypothetical I gave is, because it can be. It's not like it's a universal. That's what I'm saying. It's not like one end, or it's not a false dialectic. But I'm saying that it's going to turn people off, because we have this whole Ned Flanders persona out there. That's not what it is. It's a bastardized version of Western, what we have.
I think we just disagree with what the fungus is. I think you think the fungus is humanity and like differences being in people, being inconvenient to the religious subjugation of women. What I believe the fungus to be is hypocrisy, and this religion try again to moralize things that don't necessarily need to be moralized, and then look at the outcomes of that circumstance and look back and just point the finger at secular people rather than look in the, hold the mirror up to themselves and ask why all these contradictions exist, why people seem to view religious and through such a hypocritical lens.
You can't be in the club on a Saturday night and then come in with the same outfit on Sunday, being like, "Oh, I'm at Club Pilgrim. Yeah. Oh, my bad, it's Pilgrim Rest."
But you can be a God-fearing man and still go to the club. So that's what I'm identifying, right? Like we don't know the difference. The law, there's a lot of God-fearing men in jail, is what I'm getting at, right?
Well, those people you're talking about people out of desperation in situations where it's like, oh, now I have to believe in God because his Bible's in here. And it's like,
you can apply whatever excuse you'd like to those people. I'm just, those aren't excuses. Stating a fact.
This is humanity. We fold when times are tough. This is anybody. This could be on Wall Street, anywhere else. People turn to God, when things get hard. This is universal. We can look at this from every scenario you want. Even the rich man's going to do this because money's not going to give him happiness. Materialism isn't going to give him happiness. A good woman can do that, who's also God-fearing, could do this. We're talking about something complementary.
I think some women are actually more effective than men are at selling the religious worldview and religious values.
I would disagree with that.
That's just a failure of religion, I guess. I don't know. I think
Well, you have to think. So one thing I'll tell you is with the red pill community, if I was to sell them on religion, right, I would say it's a patriarchal structure. Would you say that the home works better with a woman leading, a single mom home, or a single father home? Which one do you think fares well in society?
I think we would have to come to some sort of agreement around what it means to lead in a household, because I think men would argue that leading is going to work, showing up, being around the kids for like maybe a predetermined amount of time, paying bills and making sure shit works. And I think a lot of women manage the financial circumstance. They're taking kids to X, Y, and Z. They're nurturing the roots that, obviously ultimately become trees and then contributors to society. So who's cradling what's more important?
Men are just as nurturing as women.
Sort of agreement there in like a minute necessarily.
Well, men are just as nurturing as women. I mean, unless you could prove otherwise. That's just a societal norm that we've been thinking the whole time.
Can I interject?
Yes, please.
Well, just speaking on what you were saying, Neve, I read the studies, right? That a man that leads his home, and if he's a believer of a certain religion, everyone in that home, it is a higher percentage that they will become of that faith, because the wife is coming underneath her husband, because however that religion is structured, she's going to fall in line, and the children are going to fall in line in the admiration of their parents, because they can't stay home. They're going to say, hey, it's time to go, until they make up their own mind if they want to follow or not. But more than likely, if the man is leading, the whole household is going to follow. It is a lower percentage if a woman is leading the household, because even though her nurture leads with everything, you still need that authority that brings the whole place together. So usually women, we're not so strong in that. Mm-hmm. We do take some authority, but it's not as effective as a father in a home as a man being over everything.
Yeah,
but
and I think in different times in life,
but
right?
It's just going to be a lower percentage that's that religion. Yeah.
Men's role in the household, I think, actually starts more in the teens and later years of early adolescence for kids. And a lot of that is built around the fundamental structures, things like having emotions modeled to their children. Those things come from women. Seeing conflict resolution modeled to the children, those things come from women. And so what's really happening is that women are formulating kids, through all of these different means by virtue of just being themselves. And they get to the point where they go into the world and they test all the things that they've learned at home. They test those things out in the world, and it's scary. They come home and they see conflicting worldviews, and it's alarming for the self. And so what the man does in that circumstance is he provides the stable foundation to calm the winds and to calm the turbulence. But I think it's disingenuous to say that men are just as nurturing for women when men cannot play that key role in development that women can, that would actually get that child to a place where they could actually start exploring the world with some sort of foundation.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit.
Because like the father, he gives structure. So when you need structure in your life, that helps you get through what you need to. It has foundation. He may not be as nurturing, but he sure made a daggone strong foundation. So while you have your confidence, you have a good head on your shoulder, and mixed with your mom's nurturing, now you emotionally intelligent. So I think that it's a good mix. Every person serves their role.
White school.
And the mother and father in the household. You know what I'm saying?
Can I ask you a question?
You talk to your mom about versus some things you go to your dad about. That's all.
I agree. Yeah.
White school. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If you think about what Nev said, and I'm going to ask, actually, let me ask both of you. Do you really truly believe that women are the arbiters or best people as far as like giving out prescriptions for conflict resolution compared to men or men? If we think about outcomes,
it depends on the person. You know what I'm saying? If you really, I mean, sometimes being like logical, you may say things because you think you're right, but you're really hurting somebody. So and then
what you're talking about is tone policing. I think that a lot of women, and this happens a lot in the church too. You'll notice it.
I'm not policing you. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. I just want to check. That's all.
Does, and the effect of it didn't achieve the effect that you wanted, because in order to be right in that moment, you hurt somebody. You know what I'm saying? Even though the way you said it, probably just whatever, with a like you want your like just how you want your wife to talk softly with you, that makes you calm, right? As opposed to her meeting you masculine to masculine, then that yields a different result. So you can't necessarily say tone police the woman and you don't police yourself. So sometimes when you're approaching a conflict, we have to calm down a little bit so that our delivery can be heard. Or if you offended that person, hopefully they can come back to you and say, hey, honey, you hurt my feelings. I heard what you said, but you kind of hurt my feelings in the way of that. And so hopefully that person would apologize so that everything can calm down and we can be lovey-dovey all again. So our children can see, oh, my dad, yeah, he's an apologetic man. He knows when he was wrong. Okay, I can embody that now. I can apologize. Well, because my dad, he knows how to apologize. You know what I'm saying? So
I would say that a logical solution 90 times out of 100 times would be a better solution, because I think that this is the other problem too. I think that a man should be the rock that emotional waves to crash into, so that way there is structure. So I think that the main arbiter is men. I'm going to rally for that. And the reason why is, if we think about religion, if we think about Christ, he was, meek to the nth degree, but he was also fierce to the nth degree. I'm not mainly going to go into Christianity or anything like that. I'm just saying that men emulate this. And if we're going to pattern ourselves after, him, that is one thing that we have to keep under control, because I think that women could be a rocky ocean sometimes, very hormonal during the month, right? We just had a podcast about this. You could be one person one week and then the other week. Men are most likely, we have little blips, but we're mostly consistent. Go ahead.
Well, I would like to propose this to you. As we're using some biblical stance, and we're talking about religion, and you say you want to be Christ-like. He said to love your wives. Love doesn't have the logic in there. You have to love her. You know that she may be emotional. I have to love you in that emotion, but I have to pair it with your logic in a good way that I can win you and be effective. You don't have to win the war, but batter whoever's in your household because she may be up at this and that. You're like, well, you're logical because she's on the rampage, but the way you deal with it is in love.
Well, wife school, we're speaking about one side.
When Christ went, sorry, 1 second. When the lady was caught in adultery. Now, this is in a time where when you get caught, it's gonna get dealt with. Under that perception of those men, here you have the men because they were being logical, right? According to them, she needs to be executed. But they were like, yo, let's come to Jesus because we know it's gonna be on our side. But he had a whole different approach to it. Even he had the most right to, execute the law on her, but he said, go and sin no more. Now, what was more effective, to lose somebody or to tell somebody to instruct them, hey, don't do this again? But I can't control you after that point, but I'm giving you that grace, even though you are in violation. Go and sin no more. You know what I'm saying? So what was more effective? Somebody was won, her life was spared, and she possibly didn't sin no more. She was corrected. So you have to know when to deal with somebody in love if we're going to be Christ-like, and you have to know when you have to put your foot down, but not for the sake of weaponizing it to.
Oh, can I say something?
So we talk about one side of it. I think the other side is respect, right? It says love your husband.
Absolutely.
Right. Love your wives and respect your. I don't think the other side gets talked about enough because it's rampant with feminism throughout Western churches and everything else. That it's hardly the congregants are 65% women. And there's a reason for this. The reason why is because it's leaning one side. It's leaning so heavily to one side that now we have harmless Christians. Ned Flanders, the reason why we have Ned Flanders, that turns a lot of women off. They don't want to have babies with Ned Flanders. Who wants that? But really, we can't be harmless men. We do have to be a rock, and we do have to be respected. That's where the patriarchal structure, it turns a lot of women off. That's where the red flag is that I'm talking about. That we need order and we need boundaries on both sides. So
I think this whole conversation is why the red flag exists.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, but Marte, I think you should.
Yeah, like this.
Marte, I think you should be
conversation
more surgical in your criticisms of feminism, because I think feminism is a result of liberalism, being liberal. But I think you're actually mad at liberal realities and lifestyles rather than feminism
No.
necessarily. They're both, the root cause here, I believe, is obviously choice, which I think hinders your control mechanism in religion, right? But I think that, yeah, taking some time to refine that criticism actually might take you a long way, because I think that you know, this sort of defensive position you have around this you know, religious belief that you hold, you know, is clearly based around some sort of like lifestyle prescription you want for other people, right? It's not rooted in the, like, you know, in the individual, I would say.
I just want to say to wife school.
I can come back to that.
Let me get Cheeky and Red explaining why, because you guys were doing faces while they were why do you consider this conversation a red flag? Like, what's your opinion about it? And then I want Paulo uninterrupted when he has time to join in.
Well, the reason why I was giving faces is because wife school proved my point. What I was saying earlier, I don't want a religious man. She used the example of when the woman was found in adultery and the religious men wanted to kill her because they were adhering to the law to the letter. This is why I don't want to deal with a religious man, because you have some religious men and women, all the same, can be overly religious, overly zealous, and have no compassion, no love, no understanding, no nothing. All they see is the letter. The Bible says the letter killeth, but the spirit gives life. That's all I want to say.
Yeah,
I think that you're
give me just 1 second, because you
go ahead,
going to rebuttal to all of them. It sounds like you're double talking, Red. Sounds like you're double talking, because once you say I kind of don't, oh, it is what it is. Now you go for the, oh, is it overtly religious overall? You don't want to
to her point what she was saying. It has nothing. It doesn't change what I'm feeling as a personal.
No, that's fine, right?
I'm just saying what she was saying about the not having the love and understanding when she was going against what he was saying. And I was just saying that's one of the red flags in a lot of women see, and we're going to see that in the next point. A lot of women look at that as a red flag in a religious man because of that.
So this is what I'm hearing, and then you can get the microphone. I don't want a man that truly believes in the Bible. I want these new Christians that kind of believe in God, but they are not ruled by the Bible, word for word, bar for bar. Go to the kitchen, woman.
Yeah.
Like it looks
that's exactly what they want. That's exactly what they want.
But that's the thing. So you don't want a religious man, because you want like these wishy-washy type of religious person that kind of says you want the performative religious. Is the like when they call the guys that they're fundamentalists.
Mm-hmm.
They're the fundamental. Yeah, they're the ones that actually believe in the Bible and the Quran, word for word, bar for bar. And if they are bad people, what does that say about the book? Because they actually believe that shit. They're reading it. It says, "This is who I am," right? So you don't want the old school, Old Testament type of, like, you want the 2005 laissez-faire.
I didn't say I. I'm giving you a general assessment of what
describe yourself. If you have this guy that believes in the Bible or in the Quran, but he's flexible, and you have a guy that he believes, he means what he says what he means, that's the law, and it is what it is. Which one would you prefer?
Either one. Okay. No, Fatty. Let me tell you why. Because I don't know if none of y'all probably don't know.
Neither or either.
Either. It doesn't matter to me.
But it kind of does, because
listen, Fatty.
Hold on 1 second. Let me reframe it. Go ahead. No God, religious but flexible, religious but inflexible. Which one is the priority? Or give me the priority 1, 2, 3. No God, no gods. That so this man is a
Or you can throw the no God out.
So that is out. Okay.
Yeah, you have to believe in, you have to believe in you have to believe in the higher power. That's out.
Okay, so now between the flexible and the inflexible, like the one that actually believes fully, it doesn't matter. I'm confused. Maybe I'm going to get a drink.
Well, okay, Fatty. Well, the reason why I say it doesn't matter because of this. Okay, so some of you guys probably don't know. I am a preacher's daughter. I was raised in the church. So, and I studied all religions, all denominations. And so in time, when I studied all these things and got my own understanding, therefore I created my own way of thinking. So I understand the first one, the religious man that you got to adhere to everything, and then you have the flexible. So that's why I say it doesn't matter. I can adhere to both of them because I've been in both places. Does that help a little bit? Because I understand both sides, so it doesn't matter.
So why did you say? So why did you start out? You started your. Why did you say? And this is why.
I was talking about in general how the women, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about how the women are thinking and the reason why they are saying it. The reason why the young lady in the video was saying what she said. Not personally. I was talking about the video, not
okay.
personally.
That kind of clarifies. Since you talk like you switch from one position.
Yeah. No. I was talking about the video.
Let me get cheeky and then we do a little bit popcorn. I want Paul Feza to join in because he didn't talk still. Go ahead, cheeky.
Yeah, I think that the confusion or the red flag in religious things is religious ideology and philosophy. Like they have their own code of ethics and philosophy that they don't even agree on. Right, like that's part of the problem. There's 40,000 or 20,000 denominations in Christianity, and all of them are based upon a interpretation of one particular scripture or the other. Mormons are not Christians to some Christians. Catholics are not Christians to some Christians. It's just too conflicting, right? And it's already hard enough to find some common ground when it comes to human ethics, let alone spiritual or moral ethics. Well, because spirituality doesn't give you ethics or morals. They may direct them, but most human beings have them. The only ones that don't, I think, are psychopaths, right? They don't care, but people have morals, right? They may not be divine morals or divine whatever, but that's why I can understand like why a God-fearing man is a red flag, especially to women. All right, like it's one, it is patriarchal. Two, it's very subjective on what denomination, what beliefs everybody don't believe the same thing. Everybody don't stand by the same exact codes. Everybody don't believe in the same thing. And when you do look at their lives, a lot of times they don't live the way they're quote unquote supposed to. And they're supposed to be graced with that, right? Because that's how it works. But if that's the case, and if all of that is flexible, then why would I pick a God-fearing man if I'm a woman when I can just pick a man and we can have a discussion about our morals and ethics and agree upon what we agree upon and disagree on what we disagree and just move on from that point. I just, it makes it more complicated in my head.
General, I think you kind of proved my point a little bit. You proved my point. So this is why I'm saying you proved my point. So the same thing Red said, and I'll ask both of you, would you rather have a guy with conditional masculinity or a guy that's firm, fair, and consistent with masculinity? Just answer that before we get to the next thing.
Or are you asking a girl, right?
You, both of you. I mean, would you rather a man, like as far as like you being a man, would you rather have a father, right? Let's say you have a father. Would you rather him have conditional masculinity or firm, fair, and consistent masculinity? Unchanging.
Yeah. So just to clarify, what do you mean by like conditional masculinity? Like he knows how to be
like if a woman comes and talks to me, I turn into a simp, depending on how hot she is, and I'm masculine around my boys.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't. Yeah, go ahead, Freddie.
So I would say this, right? I want a person that is flexible, but not the way that you described. I think the most powerful man is the coach that knows that one player needs to be taught on the rough way and another one is kindness, because if you talk on that on the same way, it's going to literally break down. You are probably, because you are a coach too, right? So you probably know that when you teach woman, you
can't
teach him
approach every
different
you can't approach
man. If
every
you teach
player
older
like the
people,
same.
so I believe that you have to have a base level of masculinity. That's probably what you're describing. But after that base level, you need to be very malleable when it comes to the dealing with the person in front of you, because you might lose the person.
Right. So what you're talking about is grace. This is what we're talking about, grace. Now, past the base level, what I'm talking about, we have to get past the first base level. I'm talking about unchanged masculinity, not like I'm in my heels when I'm going to go talk to a girl and I'm going to be masculine when I feel like it, right? I'm talking about that. Meaning like what she's talking about, like, you know, you said there's all these denominations. I'm talking about unchanging, meaning like I believe in this. This is what I do. But to Fatty's point, if there's grace and what Rez said, a woman's being stoned, right? Things like this happen. I'm going to have some grace and say, does it logically make sense for me to take my wife out? No, it doesn't. Can she change? There should be redemptive qualities in people that I should give them. There should be grace. That's what I mean. So I don't think that it's a one all fit all thing.
So,
you know.
so let me ask you this.
I said what?
Wait, 1 sec, General. Just based on one. Sorry to cut you off, but just based on one thing you said in terms of like your number one was patriarchy, right? But like patriarchy just means that it's run by men, right? But like when you break things down, and ladies, like please answer this: would you rather be the provider or the providee? Would you rather like provide for someone, or would you rather be provided for?
Provided for.
Yeah, provided for.
Provided for.
And if I ask the men, they're going to say like I'd rather be the provider.
Cheeky's Our Husbands 2025 captain. So you
Oh no!
Like you literally had to campaign about it.
2024 until infinity.
But I
would
get
you
what you're
rather?
saying. Most men will rather take care of women than being taken care
But
of.
again, this is the part I'm trying to get at. Why can't a secular person take that same ideology? Why does it have to be specific or only monopolized by Christian belief or or God-fearing belief? Take back Christian, but a God-fearing belief.
Yeah.
Why is it that? Go ahead.
Because there's a certain amount of suffering that's involved that we have to do. Back to what Neve was talking about, not virtue signaling at all, but talking about the point. We have to deny ourselves in order to serve other people, right? Most secular people don't live by this standard. They want to say, well, this feels too good. Why would I change this? What you're asking for is an unchanging standard in yourself that somebody can adhere to. Now, I think Tariq what he was saying was, would you rather be a provider, whatever? The better question is, would you rather be the person to set a standard that you can be firm, fair, and consistent to other people to adhere to, or would you rather have be beholden to somebody else's standard that they set? Because either one or the other is going to happen.
It sounds like the same other thing.
This is a religion, like one hammer, every nail kind of mentality that religion has. I think what Cheeky is addressing here is important, and I'll tie it into what I'm saying, is that the Bible does not have any answer for modernity. And if you look at like what Cheeky was saying, like 20,000 different denominations, different belief systems, different red lines, when you put that all into context, and when you recognize that religious people are just as susceptible to human error as secular people are, then from a secular perspective, there is no difference. Right. There is no difference. What you're proposing there is great. It's a pipe dream, but
no, it's not. I'll give you. Remember when I talked about my gym example? I know plenty of people who train and then they cheat, they screw up, they mess up, right? We fall. That's not the whole thing. It's if you're able to get back up and just say, you know what? Forgive me. I'm the worst person in the world. If you can acknowledge that you are the worst Christian in the world, you're better than so many other Christians. And that's my whole point that I'm going to get to is that's what Christianity is about. Knowing that you're full of fault, full of, you could say sin, all this, there's humanity. We accept this, but you also know that, hey, you know what? I'm not my mistakes. I can say, you know what? Have mercy on me. Just like, I can have mercy on somebody back in the day who's going to get stoned. You know what? Just, hey, I'm going to plead so that way you don't kill her. In modern day, it does have answers for this. We can map this on a modern day. Case in point, Feminism is the direct opposition of all this.
That sounds really great, and I just wish that it bared out in reality. I wish that people who show up to church once every day, like once a week, are not removed from the negative consequences of their actions because they can show up at a church the week after and just apologize for it. Like I said, it doesn't bear out in reality because I think people who practice religion see even their negative actions as better than the negative actions of secular people just by virtue of some sort of divine person,
but
right?
No,
so
this is why I gave the example at the beginning that it's like it's setting a ritual, a ritualistic thing that you do. You go to church every Sunday. You do that no matter what, rail, hail, or shine, because it gets you into that habit, into that mindset of being consistent.
Agreed. Okay, so are we supposed to read that, Fatty?
Absolutely not.
I'm gonna read it. So troublemaker Jack, absent and brain rotted, sent $5. Said shout out to the House Husband 2025's biggest supporter, Cammy. She the real MVP. Someone get this woman a house husband, please. Nah, get her too. I'm out. So the thing that I'm trying to figure out, right? Because what Raylis has just named sounds like what most human beings have. They have guilt for the wrong that they do. They have an understanding that they're not perfect. They have a standard or a code that they live by. Why does being a God-fearing man make you different than that human being?
The reason why is because the standard was set a long time ago and it's unchanged. Everything that you're talking about that's promoted right now is antithetical to this. And not only that, if you think about it, like let's say you had a whole society, right? And this became a Christian nation overnight, right?
Okay.
Crime would decrease. We would have a more flourishing society. We wouldn't have other things happening as far as, no offense to anybody else, genetic dead ends. Like, we would have a more flourishing society as opposed to like what we have right now in the direction we're going. And back to your point on saying we have 50,000 versions of Christianity, if you trace everything back, there's one church that we have. It's Orthodox Christianity. So
the thing that you pointed out that makes this a God-fearing man different than a secular man is antiquity.
Ethics.
We have some standard that has existed before we've been here. But what if I tell you human beings have always had some standard that existed since they've been here? How do you counteract that?
So how do I counteract this is we can look at normal society and we can look at, I could be a utilitarian and just say, look at outcomes, right? Okay. Everything around you, as far as like, when we talk about spirituality and the difference, I think that the housewife would agree with me on this. When it comes to spirituality, it's a religion of just preferences. So what the difference with that and what we have right now, because if you're a secularist, you're going to follow somebody. You're going to be a slave to somebody. You have to find out who you want to be a slave to. You're going to be regardless in secularism or religion. For me, I think that adhering to an unchanged standard that's been proven, that is just morally, and I can back my claims on this, it is way better and way more optimal than just a system of just preferences. Because if I feel like it, I could just, look at corn all day and just go to work and do all this and have a non-productive life. That's cool because I feel good, but that's my preference, right?
So
how is that better?
Okay, I grant it. So what do you call the Christian that is addicted to porn and that is his life? What do you call him?
I would say that that's a very trying man that is doing his best just like anybody else. The difference is he sees the path of where he's going. He knows so what it's doing when you're a Christian, Christianity magnifies everything and clarifies everything around you. So when I'm doing something bad, I actually care and I feel bad because it's not productive. And you can literally look at examples of scientific studies of how porn rewires your brain. So all of this
is that to all men or Christian men or secular men?
No, this is all men. This is exactly why Christian men should stay away from that, especially, and everybody should conform to Christianity.
Just stay away from it.
Okay, so
everybody
should. I'm gonna answer your question with two things. It's outcome and consequences.
Can you turn your volume up? I can't hear you that well. You want to turn it up a little bit, Paulo Fesso? He's on mute. We're gonna wait for him.
Yeah, you should unmute.
All right, how's that?
A little better, not really.
I can raise it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Go
right.
ahead, Paul.
It's very simple. The reason why there's a difference between Christianity or Christian men and non-Christian men are based on two things: outcome
Well,
and
just to be clear,
consequences.
real quick, Paul Fesso, the conversation is God fearing. So nobody take offense if we say Christian. We're really meaning God fearing, but go ahead. Yeah,
fair. It's outcome and consequences. Outcome in the sense of the only model for positive outcome for us as humanity over the last thousands of years have come from religious background. Even our identity of morality has been largely shaped by religious background.
Okay.
So there is a sense of, okay, if the positive outcome comes from this particular type of ethos, then therefore there's a natural gravitation towards that's what I want. The second one is consequences. There are a higher level of consequences for God-fearing men than there are non-God-fearing men, in the sense of, should I go against the principles and values that I am formulating within this relationship, what are your consequences as a non-God-fearing man? Other than feeling bad, maybe, other than a level of conflicting self-consciousness.
Okay.
Right. However, when it comes to God-fearing, is what typically is the punishment for that? The extreme is you are forbidden from entering heaven, or whatever the version of heaven is. So that the consequences and the outcome appeared, and why there is a difference.
Okay.
I don't agree with that.
Me neither. I think the idea of the consequence comes through a religious lens.
Give me just a second, because I can life in heaven is forever, right? Forever. So I can do a tremendous amount of bad in this earth. On the 50, 60 years, I do pillage, kill, grape, punt babies in the head, do all the bad things, and then go to jail, like Marty said, and out of despair, honestly repent, and I have an eternity of good things in my life that is going to happen, because I'm going to be in heaven forever. So
I think you're making the argument, and I'm going to jump here, Fatty. So why repent if the consequences of hell and heaven is non-existence to you?
Because
so you made a stronger argument for.
Like Marty said, when people become desperate, people grasp to everything to make sure that their existence is validated. You need a purpose. You need something that makes you live. So for example, there's no surprise that when Malcolm X goes to jail, he comes out reformed, and he actually believes in a higher power, because there's no way out if he doesn't believe in nothing more, nothing less. So I would
because
say
you understand the consequences, right?
I would say this, right, and then you got it. If I believe that I only have a 60-year window to do whatever I need to do on this planet, and there's nothing more afterwards, I believe that I have more motive to actually be good, because I believe that these 60 years actually count, while the other person believes they'll have a whole eternity of bliss and happiness if they actually repent and believe in something. So I think I have more in stake, because I have only 60 years. You have the whole eternity to believe in what you need to believe and thrive of that. So I think you have more to I have more to fear than you. You see what I'm saying? Like it doesn't go from I will be good because my belief system makes me be good. I will be good because I want to get into the second life, which is the real life, the forever life. So I'm going to do these things out of reward. You see what I'm saying? I think it's a little bit different when it comes to secular people. So secular people can say, are the 50 years we have to make it count. So let me make sure I have everything in check, because after this, I'm done. And cut out the
I'm going to borrow
$20 cash.
I'm going to borrow. My bad. I'm going to borrow what Neve, quote Neve said. Is that reality, though? Do all secular people understand that they have a finite time, therefore they endeavor to do good, whether they believe in a God or not? It typically is not the behavior that you see, right? Mm-hmm. So the consequences argument is, I think it's a little bit of a fallacy to say, well, the consequences doesn't really matter because someone can act out of all the morality clause that we think, go to prison, and then turn their life to God. That's understanding of consequences.
I think the fallacy here would be the consequence being derived from your religious worldview. From everybody else's perspective, there is no consequence because there is no choice. That's the fallacy here.
Can you
I think
elaborate?
your point.
There's no
Okay,
choice, so
so
you just don't
from
believe.
there is no I follow God, I do not follow God. Is it a good or is it a bad? That doesn't exist from secular worldviews. And so from your perspective, you can sit, sorry, you didn't reveal if you're a religious person or not. So I'm assuming you are. If you're not, that it is what it is. Assuming you're a religious person, from your worldview, it would make sense to me that you would want to sort of frame my existence in the world as something with consequence. But I'm saying from the rest of, everybody else, the idea of there being consequence doesn't exist, and that's why it's fallacious.
Well, I disagree with that. I think the differences between the secular versus non-secular is there isn't one besides the belief that there's an eternal or some metaphysical consequence that you can't even prove. That's the difference. The difference isn't even because guess what? If you have sex without a condom, you're likely to get any type of disease or a child, that Christian or not. If you get into a fight with a man that's stronger than you, you're not. I'm sorry. I know we all read David and Goliath, but if he is IFBB Pro Marte Rayless and you're a stick, I don't care how much you believe in God. That ass gonna get broke, okay? Because he's stronger than you.
Not in that case.
It has nothing to do. These consequences that we're talking about, they apply to both sides. The only consequence that doesn't apply to both sides is this metaphysical or extra spiritual consequence that we can't even prove. That is the difference between the two. And that fear or that concern of this unproven consequence is the thing that maintains Christians' sense of morality. Or maybe that's not it. I don't want to reduce it because that sounds like y'all are only moral because y'all are scared. That's not true. I don't believe that. What I am saying is I think you all are moral, and because you all are moral, that extra sense of concern of where am I going to go after my action makes you more reserved or more conservative or more. And if it doesn't make you that way, then the answer to the question is there is no difference besides the belief of something that is hopeful.
But the thing is, like, you're trying to say, you put it in the context of a delayed consequence. You can get your consequence right now. If I come at Neve and I say something disrespectful, she's gonna clap back. So we can't say that consequence don't happen instantaneously. It does.
But no,
so
wait.
We cannot say I can live in a certain way that I know, like in a constructed, disciplined way, that I know that if this plane go down tonight, if somebody roll up in this church while I'm trying to praise and have fun, whatever happens in my life, because I'm already doing it, I have no fear of what's coming. For a person that's not prepared, you're more in a scramble. You know what I'm saying? You're more fearful because now something that's so temporal and so fragile is at stake. You're like, somebody come help me. I need help. But if that's your time, that's just uncertainty. You don't know. That's the uncertainty that comes. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Wife school. The conversation literally started by saying God-fearing man and man that fears the higher power. Right. And now you're saying, I don't fear that. I'm not a good person because I don't fear the higher power. I do it because I want to. It kind of
that's what they said.
That's literally the reason why you want the God-fearing man, because the motherfucker fears that if shit go poof, now he has to answer to something that is out of this world. That's literally the reason. That's why they don't say I want a secular man, because the secular man is here for a fun time, not for a long time. It is what it is. But the God-fearing man, a man that thinks that it's in the name, is going to be on those coast trains. He's like a dog, right? I can bite everybody, but if I have an owner and that motherfucker, every time I bite somebody, he's going to lash out on me.
But what Chiki was saying, he was alluding that we live a certain way for the end.
But I was
saying I live a certain way for now, because the end could be any
time.
Hold
on, wait. Just because you do it for the end doesn't mean you're not doing it for now. You do it for both. That's the reason
what I'm
why.
saying. But you were just only talking about the end. You wasn't talking about now.
Wait, hold on, wait. Because that's the difference between a secular person and a God-fearing person.
No, that's not the only difference.
Oh, I'm not
and
saying,
I'll tell you.
We're trying to.
One second. Let him run the plan, and then we get Paula Fest and Marty too on the conversation. Go
All right,
ahead.
so for sure, Rayless, I'm not saying that that's the only difference.
Okay.
The only thing I am pointing out is the consequences here on earth for a secular man and a God-fearing man are equal. Those things will happen either way. If you are a secular man doing secular things, you're going to suffer secular consequences. If you're a God-fearing man performing or doing secular things, you're going to also reap secular consequences.
Right.
The difference between the two is most people who are God-fearing have a belief that my secular actions will lead to a consequence that will affect me in the afterlife. That's all I'm saying.
So I'm going to push back on that. I'm going to give you 2 points, okay? So when I said that we don't, so I'm going to say that we don't just look at the end, we look at here and now too. I'll give you a question I'm going to ask you. Let's say you own a store and you have 2 employees. One employee read the handbook, knows it, recites it, tells you about it all day. And then you got a guy that never read the book. You refuse for him to read this book on policy, everything else like that. Both of them leave a mop in the corner. It's somebody could slip and fall off the moisture that came from the mop and everything like that. Who would you scold the hardest between the person that knows what's wrong and the person that's like, I'm just doing it because of preference. You know, the mop just is comfortable in the corner.
They'll both equally get scolded. You're both dumb.
So here's the thing. If you ask anybody, the person, everybody that knows, the first time you do something, you can plead ignorance. You can't plead ignorance if you know and you adhere to a rule and you tell everybody about this. It looks worse on you. And the second point I'll make is that we have something that secularists don't have. We have a community that'll hold us to example, hold our feet to the fire. We have shame. Public doesn't have this. You have an OF account. What kind of shame you gonna get? You gonna get praise. You're the queen. You all kinds of stuff. You got simps we don't have that. Well, we do in Western society with some churches. But I'm talking about in the church when it comes to
Mate, I think it just you're not pushing back at all.
Wait. I'm trying to understand.
What is static or something like that?
And by the way, Marty, just for
whose
you.
static is that?
I don't know.
He's the artist, he's the professor. But Marky, just for you to know, Mia Khalifa came from a Christian background. Just for you to just for us to broaden the conversation. The biggest corn star.
Wait, she came from like Muslim. I think she was Muslim.
I thought it was Muslim too.
She came from a God-fearing background. She came from a God-fearing
hold on. That actually proves my point. That proves my point. So we have the opposite that's happening too. We have I forgot what her name is. There's a pipeline. There's an OF to Christianity pipeline. We have a lot of infiltration that's happening. They're called sewing circle Christians. A lot of feminists, they will use Christianity as a shield to shield themselves from shame. I'm totally against this. Now, that goes to Neve's point about virtue signaling. We have a lot of people that virtue signaling, and we have guys that do the same thing. They'll come in and say, oh, you know what? I'm God-fearing and all this other stuff. Shut up. But you in the club on Saturday, Sunday night with your boys, but she can't do it. In the club doing this.
Yes.
I'm talking about like.
It goes a long way. It goes a long way that you're willing to acknowledge this, because I don't think a lot of people are.
Well, you have to. The reason why is because I think that if you are firm, fair, and consistent, and you do have grace. Now, Neve, you're not giving me enough credit here because I'm just saying, like, I am willing to give everybody grace. I'm not so hard line that I can't, because I fall all the time. Hell, that's every day I do something wrong. That's it. Like, if I had a magnifying glass on me, it's like they would see everything. All Christianity does for me right now is literally it could make my life worse because I'm now beholden to the standard that is supposed to be unchanging, whether or not somebody else isn't. So if I'm the employee in the example that I gave him and I read the policy, I read everything else like this, I have no excuse. The manager could be like, you know better than this. Right. He can't tell the person that he kept the rules from and just didn't know anything from. He could say, all right, well, I guess you got one pass. You got 3 passes. Like,
no, Marty, that's not how life works. And I want to follow fast.
It do work like that.
And no,
this is modern society. This is how it happens a lot.
No, it doesn't because
It does. It really does.
You know why it doesn't? You know why
for
it
women,
doesn't? Let me
Fadi,
tell
for
you.
women, it does.
Let me tell you how it doesn't. A secular mind believes in action, meaning I might not believe in the book, I might not believe in the rule book, I might not read the book, but I'm going to judge by my results. So if I go ahead and I do a good job, people are not caring if I'm going, like if I'm a IKEA, the one that mounts the shelves and all that, and I don't read the books, but every time I do my job, that shit is done, and like the customers are happy. Nobody's going to say, "But you didn't read and do it by the book." No, I did it. I know what to do it, and I did it.
Yeah, but when it comes to the consequences,
You are not you are going to fire the most incompetent person.
Fatty.
So,
Let's say I mount the TV.
Let me just say this real quick.
Go ahead.
I am terrible at mounting shit, right? And I will say this: if I see somebody that can do it without looking at a book, and I keep looking at a book left and right, and I do this, and I zoom in, and then still do it wrong, I'm worse than the person that did that shit before looking at the book. Because even if I look at it, even if I read it, even if I see the glasses, I go to YouTube, I get the old tutorials,
and you just said it. You said
do
that
my
they're
job.
worse than the
Person is
person
doing
that.
better than me.
Fatty, I'll give you an example of why it's worse. Let's say I mount the TV, right? And I work for Best Buy or something like that, right? I mount the TV and I do mobile mounting, right? And I take, let's say I take $500 for this cash, right? And I come back and say, man, I got the money. You know the policy. Oh, I forgot. You didn't know that we were supposed to take credit cards because we're supposed to have it on documented through electronic encryption device, all this other stuff. You took cash because I should have told you about this. All right, well, just go back and see if they could do it on the card. I'll let you do this. Now you have an employee that just says, man, I knew, but cash was faster. They just didn't have it. I just took. You're going to go ahead and demonize this employee that went against something that he already knew way worse than the one that's like, oh, I just took cash because I didn't know.
That's fair, but you're going by the worst case possible.
No, this happens all the time.
No, but think about it.
This can happen all the time in any business.
It's totally fine. Let me ask you something. And then Paulo and Chiki can go ahead and the rest of the panel. Is it fair to say there's a lot of people that are secular that actually do more good, by rules, are more productive to society, love other people than people that claim religion and actually are religious? So this is what we're talking about. I believe, once again, that eternity is a lot of time. Eternity is eternal. If 50 years compared to eternity is nothing. 100 years, 1,000 years, 1,000,000 years compared with eternity is nothing. So if you know that the short stint that you're going to have here is going to be rewarded by eternity of bliss, you have all the incentive to actually do that. I'm just thinking once again that this is performative, and you know why? Before these new religions, because Christianity is kind of a new religion, right? Compared to the extent that we are on earth. There was patriarchal structures. Men were taking care of women already. Women already had on the traditional role. Like we look at nature and we know that the male pig and the female pig, they do different things.
Well,
and they
God
kind of
created all that, so
the structure,
I don't
right?
know what to
There's no wolf packs where the female wolf is rah, 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 I'm the leader. We kind of know this in society.
This is instinctive.
Even if you remove the religions, we are naturally conditioned. If we are stuck on an island and everybody's from a different religion, there's secular people there, we all know, you know what? The fellas need to take care of the woman. We have to go do these things. You go pick the berries and all that. We are going to want these animals. And by the time that we're all kind of fixed, we are going to fall into the patriarchal roles that we have now. So I will just wrap it up with this. About the question on the do women view male fate as strength or subtle control? I believe that most people that claim the religious want two things. The man on control over the woman and want not an excuse, but rules that overwritten their own rules so they can say, hey, it's not me, it's the book. Okay, you have to obey me because he's here. And the woman want providers. These women are lying to y'all. They are, I want to do whatever I want, but I want a flexible one. I want a God-fearing man that believes in provide and protect so he can pay all my bills. And then when the door closes, hey, you're not buying the television. That's our money. Just go back and go watch your game, but you're watching on a small television because that's not what we're going to do with our money. I believe it's an excuse.
Wow.
It's an embedded excuse. And there's a reason why they say, and I don't know who said it, but I think it was somebody on our space, religion is the last stop for hoes. That's the
That was
reality.
me.
Red,
That
thank
was
you very
me.
much. There's a reason why all these sex workers, all these OnlyFans models, as soon as they retire, oh, I give my life to Christ.
That's what I was just saying.
Yeah,
I was just saying that.
look at Brittany Renner. All of a sudden, she's a Muslim after saying, "Hey, you better hide your keys." like it's in my opinion, is the easy way out.
But to Neve's point, this is why you have to be. This is why I brought up the example of masculinity, an unchanging standard. Because if you do have somebody that's reformed and they're cosplaying Christian in their conditional Christianity, just like conditional masculinity, we have conditional femininity. So I think that people cosplay with Christianity, and this has infiltrated the West so bad. We have people that came in, the one that just came in on the whatever podcast, and Andrew Wilson has been tussling with her a couple times, and even Pearl has been tussling with her. Big time fake. She's shielding herself with Christianity. She with the OF pipeline and went to Christianity, and she's using it to shield herself. So to Ned's point, she is definitely right about that. When it comes to people that shield themselves, they use it for an excuse. That's why men have to. If you are a God-fearing man, you have to be unchanging, and you have to be about what you say. To Tarek's point, be a man of your word and be a man of the word. Like that's extremely important.
Marty,
so I guess the question we gotta ask.
Hey, Cheeky. I'm sorry to become familiar with Andrew, right? And he says this: women don't have like you. It doesn't matter because you can enforce them, right? It doesn't matter. Like the you saying you have rights or woman should be. It doesn't matter because you can enforce them. You are
no.
not
You're right.
Right?
You're right.
So my question is, why does Christianity matters when you can enforce that shit? You
well,
can
because
enforce it. No. Hey, no, Martin.
I can counter.
If we are going to go, and I want y'all to educate me on this, right? If women, whatever they have going on, if they can enforce them and it doesn't mean nothing, why is Christianity so adamant for society functioning? If you can enforce nothing, I can sin and sin and sin and sin and sin and sin again, and you can enforce shit on me because as long as I repent myself, I'm not going to go to jail. I'm not going to lose money. I'm not going to lose nothing. Like how does that tie together?
It's a matter of the heart, and nobody else can determine what that is but you. And you have to be sincere in your example, what you do. I understand there are people that do this, their habitual sinners all the time. They do all this other stuff. The one thing that I had a conversation with Rachel Wilson, Andrew's husband. We're doing a debate on Memorial Day, by the way. So I asked her specifically because I even had the same question. I said, well, I need to find somebody who religion can kind of shield me from all this other stuff. You know what she told me, and I truly believed in this, and Wife School can probably co-sign this too. Religion is not going to protect you from these 304s. It's not going to protect you from a feminist. It's not going to do anything. You have to go ahead and just be that unchanging standard that's going to vet people out that you don't want. You can't vote for anybody. You can't vote for feminism. You can't vote for liberalism, what Neves was saying, or anything else like this. You're right. So I agree with you. You can't force anybody to change. That's why you have to be a good person and make sure that the decisions you make and the partner you pick is the person that's in line with what your belief system is. That's the only way to decide. You can't prevent it.
I would argue, like, just real quick, like in terms, like you're right in what you're saying, Marta, in terms of like how a man should move. Like this is what you should be working with. What I'm saying with that, I think you're making like that like crucial mistake where it's like you're kind of undermining women in a way where it's kind of like this. Wait, were you saying that you were for subtle control? That it's like in their nature to be to use this as a like basically the whole fact that I have this over my man, these rules, and then I can kind of pick and choose translations. You know what I mean?
Can you repeat that again?
Were you saying that like originally women wanted to like they basically use religion as sort of control over their husbands?
No, what I said was the men want to use religion to control woman because now is not my word, is the word of God, right? So I can actually use the word of God to enforce my control over you because it's man over woman, and the woman search for refuge in religion because she knows it's your duty as a man to protect and provide. So now she's in that excuse to say, oh, you need to pay for all the bills because that's what the Bible says, right? That's what the good book says. That's what this religion says. So it's not genuine. I believe these are the rules. Is I'm going to use this book against the other person that is sleeping in the same bed as me. I truly believe that. Go ahead.
I'd argue the counter. That like women, like, because like think back to Helen of Troy. One woman demolished the whole fucking nation.
Yes.
Over one woman. That is the most lethal thing known to man.
Okay.
Like even a nuke couldn't wipe out a full nation. Maybe one of the small ones, but like in terms of Troy, like that is one woman.
So can I ask you a question real quick?
Well,
and sorry for the delay in Palafes and Chi. If secular man was known as providers and religious man was known as 50-50, do you think woman will have God-fearing men on their bio?
Can I give you? It'll take like a minute to just explain the example, right? Because, like, for example, I gave you the example there of Helen of Troy, right?
You're talking about influence.
If I was from like 2000 BC, from ancient Greece, and I gave you that story or whenever the fucking happened, like I would technically be a secular man in your eyes, correct?
No,
but I don't believe in God.
Woman, even in religious environments, at the tremendous amount of power. I believe there's power in weakness. I believe that Jeff Bezos or whatever small meek, small meek now because he's training, right? But I believe that Warren Buffett, 5'4", 90-year-old, has more power than Marty being a gigantic man because there's power in influence. My power is not what my ants can do. It's not just manipulating the environment. There's a primitive way of thinking about power. Power is I can come back to my village and say, hey, Cheeky, you're the general, right? Fuck them up. And now there's a mob trying to chase the king because the power is your influence and not what you can do with your hands. You see what I'm saying? So I wouldn't believe that there's a secular thing. I believe that even between religion, there's very strong women that have the ear of the king.
But if I was a God-fearing man and I gave the example of Jezebel, which basically done the same thing to northern Israel, right? Like there's no difference there in terms of the lesson. It's just a different story being told.
Yes, absolutely. But do you think that these women actually look for the God-fearing man as a genuine, like that's what Red said, in my opinion. They would hate a man that actually believe in the Quran. A man that truly believe in the Bible, word for word, bar for bar. Hey, lady, you need to shut the fuck up. You need to shut. You are. Hey, do you really think
is that a woman talking to me?
If I believe in the Bible, again, the fundamentalists are actually the ones that are the true believers. You're not doing podcasts with Fatty. Shut the fuck up. You go do some knitting, whatever you do, the traditional woman do. It's the flexible religious guy that they want. It's the guy that believes in
the guy that takes it metaphorically.
No. He's the guy that believes in some core values, the protection and the provision specifically, and then disregard the other two. But remember, religion is not a buffet. You can't just say, I'm a Muslim and I believe in 99%, but I eat pork because bacon is great. I love bacon. You are going to be severely punished for that. And I believe that most women, if their man was 90% of what they want and then they still eat pork, most of these women who says, yeah, baby, just don't tell nobody so they don't use it against us. You go ahead and get your crispy buck bacon. See what I'm saying? And this is my problem with a lot of times religious people is cosplaying, is performative.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, but that's all intention and how you see. This is the difference that we need to make. We need to say there's God believers, which y'all are claiming because y'all have this flexibility. And then there's the God fearing, where now my relationship with him matters more than breaking and dishonoring him. So the holiness and his standards is what keeps me. And I love him so much, in the relationship I developed with him in my personal time, I can't violate that. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on that person's devotion. So if I'm lukewarm, if I'm half stepping, I'm probably going to be on, I got to be a little flexible, because I can't really, if a person calls me out, it might make me feel some type of way. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm not ready to be full-fledged, devoted to God. You know what I'm saying? It is a reflection of your devotion.
I think the argument can be simplified. If it's God-fearing, then there is no distinction to be made. God-fearing means all deep in the religious part of it, not pretentious, not cosplaying, none of that. If it's God-fearing, then a lot of the descriptor that you use, Fatty, it's not God-fearing to the slightest degree at all. So I want to jump back to the argument that Mate and Wife School made against Cheeky. I think you ironcladded his argument in terms of consequences. There's a deeper level of consequences, in the sense that it applies not only to this lifetime but also the next, right? And so therefore the what happens now highly contributes to what happens afterlife. I was trying to make that clarification, because you were arguing against Cheeky, but you're just ironcladding his argument of that's the difference between secular and God-fearing, is that there's consequences beyond life itself. And so what you do now matters a lot more than, I do this, then I turn God-fearing later. No, you're God-fearing or you're not. And just because you turn and repent later on doesn't guarantee that you don't suffer the consequences after.
I agree.
Can the God-fearing part be acquired later in life?
Absolutely, but it's not a guarantee.
Or on death row.
So I wanted to speak to that.
Acquire the God-fearing part?
It can
so
be
I wanted to speak to that.
Okay.
And the idea is, just because you became God-fearing later on in life still doesn't guarantee you the reward of whatever it is that a certain religious background believe in. And so there's a big there's a big incentive for those who are God-fearing to be consistent throughout their life, not just when it fits, not just when it suits.
I honestly
Elaborate.
believe that you can be God-fearing at the end of your life if you give it to him. Like, it all depends. Like, I can't see your sincerity. Only God knows the heart. Only God can judge the heart. So if snot booger 5 minutes left, all I have left, and I gave my life to him, it was his blood that he said I gave for you. None of us. We can't project what we would do.
Wife School, before you're carrying on,
we didn't shed our blood for nobody. We barely.
Wife School.
Shed blood for Fatty. Fatty probably wouldn't shed blood for me.
I'm gonna jump in here because you're doing yourself a disservice. You're making the argument that then there is no difference between secular and God-fearing. If at any point in time we can turn to God, then what is the difference? And that's your argument right now.
But the thing is, it's a free gift, and the door is always open with him. God is not solely conditional when it comes to salvation, because he will have the open door for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so he has that grace. And only he has that. If he can come and
I'm trying here. I'm swinging, Fatty, but I'm trying, Fatty. I'm swinging here.
My goal is to give you that instruction. Say, this is what happens. Come to. Oh no, I want to party for 10
this
more
is
years.
why religion is a red flag to women. It's a red flag. This is why there is no objective metric to point to what any sincerity behind anybody that says I'm God-fearing. The only one who can do that apparently is the same being that gave you this standard that you can't even follow, because you say you fail at it every day. So if this is the case, why would any woman hear I'm a God-fearing man, knowing that it's subjective, non-achievable, and it's something that you can't gain the real consequences of until that person dies?
And it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be tough. So I'll give you another.
It's supposed to be hard and it's supposed to be tough. But now the question is, what is the appeal to somebody that is going, hey, you know what?
Exactly.
I have to choose
between a secular person and a God-fearing person. And what it sounds like is there is no difference besides the belief that
The
consequences.
reward is eternal life with Christ. So here's the thing: I'm a bodybuilder, right? And I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example. So in our communities, we have exile that can happen, right? And that's one of the worst things that can happen when you get exiled from a community. That can happen. It's still present to this day. The reason why I'm going to go ahead and give you a conflation to this. So in competitive bodybuilding in the IFBB, this is like the top of the, I compete against the world class, best in the world. So we have a phenomena that happens. People injecting oil into them. I'm pretty sure you've seen the videos of them doing this. So these people are fake. They get clowned. They get ostracized, clowned. They get called fake natties, all this other stuff. So there's shame in that culture. There's a community that will ostracize you. You'll get exiled and everything. So you can typically see like it's not black and white. We can't say like you can't definitely know somebody's heart. I agree with white school, but at the same time, your actions are reflected of behavior that we can see as patterns of like things like you have oil in your arms. I can see that you've cheated, all this other stuff. We can see some things outwardly still at the same time. Go ahead.
We agree. So we're on the same page. Now help me describe or help me tell or help me find the differences between a good man who is not a Christian but has human ethics versus a Christian that has bad human ethics. What is the difference between the two?
Right.
I heard this the other day.
Wait. I'm asking Ray.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, good. So I can answer this question. The difference is you can. So when you talk about Christian ethics, the principles that he's adhering to are the principles that Christ commanded. Well, when we're talking about God fearing,
what if he's not adhering? What I'm saying is he's not adhering to them. But somebody who is not
I can answer you.
Well, you can't. Well, here's the thing: you can't say. Even Christians can't say that they're good people. You know that, right? We can't call ourselves good people. Like nobody can call themselves good.
But y'all
I can still be trying. Go ahead.
No, I'll give you the difference, and it's quite simple, Cheeky. If you are God-fearing or religious in any standard or degree, you'd look at the non-religious person yet good as more righteous than the Christian doing bad. And the reason for that is because even though they do not believe in eternity of damnation, they still endeavor to do good by themselves and their fellow peers. Okay. Whereas a Christian who understands all of these things and yet still chooses to go against it is seen in a lesser degree. That's the difference.
Okay.
Yeah,
from a non-secular out view, if you're trying to make those two distinctions.
So, but the baseline is that people think religious people are more righteous than secular people and others, right? So a lot of it is you don't have a God, so you're godless, right? And the word godless has a negative connotation, right?
Degenerate.
And the other person is implied that the person actually has morals, right? But for example, like we've seen, and like there's a word that circulates a lot on the other side, Valhalla, about like the degeneracy, and you are the degenerate and all that. But for example, last week I saw a bunch of people support to me a degenerate act, which is a lady calling a 5-year-old the N-word, and instead we're focusing on the degenerate, we're focusing on what, oh, but these, oh, but that, oh, but these, oh, but that. So it comes to a point where you being religious or you being secular, like Chiki's trying to push, is there's no difference in it. It's more on your actions, how you move, how you actually portray yourself, how you carry yourself in this planet. So if what Wife School is saying is true, she's just actually giving reason to this is why all the degenerates, the last stop, the hoes, the pimps, the wife beaters, the criminals, is religion. Because if I can do if one thing is, like for example what Marty's saying, for you to be a bodybuilder you have to have years of consistency. There's no days off. There's no I'm going to stop doing this and then in 3 months I'm going to go back. You lose everything, right? So I can actually see this is something that I can observe. But when it comes to God-fearing, I can be a wife beater, and every time the Lakers lose, I go upside my wife's head, and then by 63, when my heart is having problems because I had the scare and all that shit, I genuinely believe in God. I genuinely repent. I genuinely give my life to Jesus Christ, and all of a sudden, with the first ref to heaven, we select Team Fatty. Let's go, Team Fatty. You got it.
Well,
No, I think that's it.
That's
I think
dangerous.
we've made,
Go ahead.
and I agree, Fatty. I think we made a bad argument in the sense of, oh, the difference is you go to heaven just purely because you believe. That's a bad argument. And it's also a bad argument in the sense of, sure, you may live a life that is ungodly and sinful and you turn to Christ in your end of life moment. It still doesn't guarantee you. Sure, the gospel preaches that the grace of God will be upon you, but it's only that. It does not say that the grace of God and heaven will be upon you the moment you turn to Christ. There is still a lot of things that we try and determine whether we're doing by His words or not. And that's the bad argument that we're making is, so sure, Christianity, fine, but that still doesn't guarantee you.
Yeah,
Right.
it has to be,
Correct.
it has to be genuine, but the you repenting yourself genuinely doesn't reflect in what you did on this life. It reflects on the other life. So I can
It's
be
still not a
terrible people.
guarantee.
I
So
know,
here's the
Paulo.
thing. Yeah.
But let's assume that I repent wholeheartedly. This is a true repent. Like, this is true. God saw it in my heart that I repent true and true. I did nothing on this earth that actually is good. Think about it. Think about it. If I am judging this world by the actions I do, and I do a bunch of bad things, and I repent in the eyes of God, which might be allow me at least a hearing on the next life, what was the action that I did? Actions, not thoughts, not belief. I didn't do nothing positive in this life. And I still can't get in because now I'm a God-fearing man. Now I believe in
No.
higher. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's not going to
So
reflect
faith
in your
without
life.
You can
action.
only get
So
in if
faith
you
without
accept
action.
Christ as your personal savior.
No,
That is it.
hold on, wife school. Hold on, wife school. You're making a
ahead.
bad argument again. Faith without action. Faith has to be paired with action. So what your argument is, just because I repent after I've done also all these bad things, I have a chance of going to this eternal reward. No. The gospel
I'm on my
is
deathbed-
very adamant about the
So if-
faith.
But isn't the
Go ahead.
repent the action that he's asking for?
No.
So to back his claim, what he's talking about is an exception to the rule, which was the only exception to the rule. It was the thief on the cross.
Yeah.
So we can't. So he was the only exception to the rule. Now, what he's saying, just to clarify, is that even if you have all these actions at the end, for a good Christian who's been consistent all his life, it's not even guaranteed for him. You don't even know for certain. Like, so what he's saying is faith without action has to be, faith and action have to be paired together. And even still, it's not guaranteed. That's what he's saying.
There
Thank you,
is a
Mate.
parable
That's
in
it.
the Bible where there's a worker that's been working for so many years. I've been putting in my time, and then that person got paid $5, and then the person comes in and works for a day, and that person awards him $5. The person that's been working for years was so mad. Oh, how do you get that? And I've been working all these, but it's not your money to give. It's not your grace to give. It's not your blood to give. Now, will I know if Jack made it into heaven? I'll know when I get there, hopefully, because hopefully I live my life right. So it's not your grace to give. All that we can do is encourage a person. Hey, this is a free gift that's given to you. It's free. You can take it. You can believe if you want, that's cool. If you don't, you don't have to receive. If God's not twisting their arm to receive his love and grace, I'm not going to do it. But he tells me to share the gospel and give a testimony how he operated in my life and wherever I was, where I received his grace, and that your grace, that you can receive it too. And even if homeboy was on the cross, at least he had enough sense to know in that moment, I need a savior. While other homeboy was just over there clowning, being secular and everything. Call down the angels and get us all. If you say who you are, get some angels to take you off. So one person mocking and scoffing was wasting time, while the other person was getting it right and being intentional of where he needed to go, because he knew in his heart he was wrong.
I think
Well, when
gain
you're
for the
Day you will
action
be with
is
me in
nice.
paradise, and that came out of the
It
words
still
of
does.
Christ's
It
mouth.
still doesn't. It still doesn't tie to your actions because once
I-
again, I
That
can
that's
be.
the action is the belief.
But see what you said there. You see what you said there.
Okay.
You said
And
it.
that's
So
beautiful about that's what's
You
beautiful
said
about
it.
the
Bro.
gospel, and that's what's beautiful about Jesus. If you just believe him, you think you got to do all these things. No, it doesn't take all that, and that's what makes it so hard for people, because that's why they get caught up in religion and walking down
Wife
praying
school.
3 times a day.
You know what
Okay,
is
like you said, you can do all that, but still be busting your wife's head open. But
wife school. You know what is beautiful? Me
What, love?
treating my wife with love and respect.
Yes, exactly.
I don't need to be religious to do that. I at all. I don't need that. Like I can literally take my care of my life, give my life for her, make
Mhm.
sure she has my jacket when it's cold, make sure that she always has food on her plate, make sure that if I put her in danger, she's free to leave because she shouldn't be.
Mhm.
Like that's beautiful too. And I like as a secular person, and
Mhm.
again, I only started thinking about it. I'm ignorant, right? There's some things that I never talk about. Like, where does your morals come from?
Mhm.
And I can't pinpoint where they come from because I was baptized when I was young. My parents are religious. But the thing is, once again, they are not all the way there, right? And are like if I have not the disdain, but if I have this interest for religion, and I still can treat you with respect, with righteousness, and all that, the only difference, like Chiki said, is you believe in something, and I don't. It's
Yeah,
not that I
but
even believe
you
in
do
the.
believe in something.
It's no.
It's
It's not
called
that I. No,
self.
no,
So
no.
that's
No.
the difference, because one is God that's governing,
Hmm?
and that's divine, right? And then there's self-governing. So that's you. So you believe in you. You believe that, like you said, if I do all these things, you believe in what you're doing. But the only thing that separates that is when you fall off, and that there's sins, and like you said, that they weren't all the way there. You can't repent to yourself. You can't forgive yourself for those things and those sins or whatever, who pardons you. That's when you need the grace of God and his salvation. That's the difference.
No, but
And
there's
that's the only difference.
no. Flip
Can
it,
I give
please.
an example?
Give me just 1 second, Teresa. You got it. To you and Eve. Flip it. I can believe in Satan.
Mhm.
I can believe in your worst enemy. I can have the cross and shit and dye my eyes and go to these. I can do that and still treat people with love and respect. What I believe, I can believe in Satan. You can believe in God. I give these example all the time because I read a lot of manga and manhwa. They have these two paths to achieve ultimate power: is the righteous cultivator and is the demonic cultivator. And both of them, you see righteous cultivators do shitty shit a bunch of times and killing and pillaging and all that. And you see demonic cultivators that a lot of times fall in love with women, start to actually, they believe in tribe, and now they have a tribe, and instead of being bad to everybody, now they start to protect the people that are on their tribe. So both sides actually show good things and bad things
That's
that you
fiction,
can.
love. But
No,
the thing,
no,
the
there's
thing
a,
is,
no, there's
the
there's
only
no, there's,
separator is
no, what's,
you can believe all you want, you can live how you want, you can go about how you want. But
wife
when
school.
you
It
stand
wasn't.
before the person that created you in
I
your
was
soul and
illustrating
spirit,
something.
the
Wife school.
only thing that he
Wife
will
school. You
accept.
you under talk me though is not going to make us talk with
No,
each other.
I'm just saying the separator.
No, but that's the thing. You are. I was illustrating something. Do you know what people that believe in Satan believe?
Mm-hmm.
What are their core rules?
Do what thy will. Um, Basically live how you want, you know.
Let's
And
assume
what
that's
else is
dead. Let's assume that's dead.
gain all that you can in this life. Be fear of missing out. All those things that you hear.
Okay, so
What else?
stop there. Stop there. Stop there. I will live as I want. I want to live as a righteous man. I will live as I want. I will live as I want. I want to live as a righteous man, a respectful man. I want to be a man that everybody on this panel can count on. I want to be a man. If Paula Festa needs something, he calls me, I'm there. If Marty needs money, I got you, brother. If Chicky needs moving, I'm there for you. Wife school, you need something. I am a follower of Satan. I live the life the way I want, and the way I want is to be a righteous man and to be a good man to the people around me. Is that a good man or a bad man?
Still bad.
You got it. You got it.
Okay.
Well,
Can
okay,
I
well, let
can
me
I
phrase it
address
this way.
It's still
the
bad.
previous
It's all,
statement?
it's all where
we're focusing on
you get
Christianity.
the morals from. Like, you can do all that. It seemed right to a man, which you're saying it seemed right, but at the end it's death. So
Yeah,
but it really doesn't matter. Like you can do that, but I'm just saying that the differentiation is you can, but we have a creator, assuming that you're saying God fearing, we have this God whom we have to meet, and his standards is what matters if you believe in him.
So actions don't matter. Matters what you believe.
In the other one,
yes.
His standards are also, okay, cool. I'll give you this. I'll be conditional. I'll be that. But I also take from you when you're not doing right, or, rob, kill, and destroy. Like it's all there because he don't care.
I can give an example of I can give an example of a secular system that works within religion. Because if you look at the small hat people, they have like secular Jews. Like they don't believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there are secularists who, like, for example, would believe in the future. And both Christianity, Judaism, and futurists, whatever you want to call them, people who believe in like Elon Musk, for example, would be an example of that, right? So like this whole thing of like they both hold society paramount. Community is paramount. So, I mean, that is numero uno, which is what we all try to aim for. That's a commonality across believing or not believing.
Sorry, Teriak. It's your mic delay on my end. I wanted to address faith without action. I think from a secular position, I think that statement is nice on the surface, but it isn't actually a satisfactory response to the real issue. I think the real issue is that it ignores the fragility of the message in the first place. And the action from a secular perspective is just as subjective. And so when you look at it from that perspective, I think you look at, the message of God, the people who are conveying the message. And I recognize things like orthodoxy and like apolistic successionism. Like I understand these things exist, but even in that framework, I think that we're looking at a message that is still fallible to human error, to human interpretation, and a message that doesn't actually address anything in modernity. So yes, you are going to participate in some sort of like moral action that you believe is justified or that you believe is in line with your religion, but that is a subjective thing, right? So there is no I think that is like it's a nice little tagline, but I don't think it really means anything.
It's not subjective when it comes to this. It's an unchanging standard that we have, meaning that if you have like a tradition, and orthodoxy is 2,000 years unchanged, meaning like, after Luther and everybody else, it's been fractioned off into like Baptist, Pentecostal, all this other stuff. When we look at orthodoxy, I'm not going to delve too much into this because I'm not doing apologetics here.
I understand the appeal. Yeah.
So, right. So when it comes down to like an unchanging standard, we haven't changed anything as far as the word. It's even the traditions have stayed the same. Nobody's changed the traditions. We're still having men lead. There's no women leading. None of this has changed. So that's not subjective. That's an unchanging standard. And I think that the more you adhere to this, you don't see subjectivity in this. The subjectivity you're talking about is the fallibility. We're human. We're going to fall 50,000 times. And the problem with this is that we're going to face is the unchanging standard is almost I'm actually going to side with even the secularists. It's damn near almost impossible to follow this. But that's the point, is that we're denying yourself. I want to go ahead and bet all these hoes. I want to like a part of me in the past would have just ran. If I wasn't Orthodox, I would have just ran through everything. And then I would have just had, you know what? I feel kind of bad about this. I can just whatever, but I have to deny that. And I have to deny this. And I have to. So there's a bit of suffering that goes along with this. That's not subjective. We have to hold on and build a line. And that's the wall you were talking about. We have to create this wall. And that's going to be looked at as a red flag to all those other people, back to the prompt. And the reason why it's a red flag is because I I'm only conditional fearful of God when it suits me, and when I just want a preference as far as this. You can't have a preference, and that's a subjectivity you're calling to. That's not what we have. We have an unchanging standard, and anybody that fears God, you're going to have this fear imbued in everything else, and these are seeds that are planted in everybody else. I don't have to preach to you to have you turn over. You can just look at my life and say, well, he's just a good person. He's no different than this person. It's just that the belief and the actions line up. Back to what you were saying. It's consistent, firm, and fair, and unchanging. Granted, I am going to go ahead and mess up, but I'm going to say, you know what? I feel a lot of shame and guilt over this. I shouldn't do this. Don't do as I say. I'm trying my best, just like you should try your best. This is something that everybody should know. This is like universal, even within what we believe. So.
Thus needing a savior.
But like, just to echo my point there.
I want to hear what Palo says.
Yeah, but like
he's very confounded.
Well, sorry, Palo. But like the main reason why like I wanted to echo that message is that like I see like a lot of Christians like get caught up in terms of like does God exist? God doesn't exist, and I think they miss a lot of the middle ground with a lot of the secularists like Elon Musk. Like, to me, Elon Musk would be the example of the Good Samaritan. He doesn't have the faith, but he's still a good citizen. You know what I mean? So I think like a lot of the stuff can be that's why I gave the example of the small hat people and all that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? But I think equally enough, like when we talk about God, it like that's how broad you have to be. Like we're a small globe, but there's a lot of different varieties. Do you know what I mean? And if we truly do say like diversity is our strength and all the stuff, if everything becomes multicultural, then there's no cultures. Everything's just a blob. Do you know what I mean? So like this is why, like, I mean,
my problem.
Oh, hey, sorry, there it is.
My problem with this is that I evolved from believing what people label themselves and look at their actions. Mm-hmm. And the part that I can reconciliate is my actions are meaningless if I don't believe in the right God. My actions have nothing to like if I have a bad luck of believing in one God in 10,000 of them that is not the one. My actions are irrelevant, and there's people in this planet that are going to put more value into something that I say that believe than my actions. I say this once again
they
all
have
the
consequences.
time.
They're not relevant for you.
No, it's
when you say your
consequences,
your actions are irrelevant. No, they have consequences.
No, they're not. No. I'm talking about so I know the truth, right? I know that people that claim God are still greedy. They still want the most money as possible.
Yeah.
They are willing to hurt other people to get their way, to pollute the rivers, to pillage. I know that, right? So I judge them by their actions. What I'm saying is that if you go ahead and ask them, what do you value? And can I be a good person by having by actually, even if I don't have good intentions, do good in this world while I have terrible thoughts in my head, they are going to say no. I don't believe in that. I believe that you can have darkness inside of you. You can have suicidal thoughts. You can drive in a car and all you want to do is stop on that school and spray everything and kill babies and choke elderly people. But every day you wake up and you take care of your mother and you are a good friend to everybody and you don't hurt no one, you deserve to be praised. Because that's what you do. You are what you do, not what you think. All of us have terrible thoughts sometimes. Life is hard. Life is difficult, right? So I wouldn't associate myself. I wouldn't look at this person as a good person, even though our acts are cool, but their train of thought is kind of fucked up. I can reconciliate both.
Yeah, and my question was then what is the argument there if you don't believe in the consequences after life? So what's the argument to be made?
My argument is actions trump beliefs. Beliefs can lead you to actions, right? Beliefs can definitely push you towards a certain set of actions, and that's why a lot of times I kind of agree that the society that is heavily religious can suppress a lot of the bullshit that we're doing. You see what I'm saying? Because a certain belief path and a certain structure can do it, but I believe at the end of the day, you are your actions, not what you believe in. So there's a lot of people that want to do good and want to really have good actions, but They never donate. They see a homeless person and they turn the other way. And there's person that have their life in shambles. They have dark thoughts and all that. But if they see a homeless person, hey, here's $20, brother. Go ahead and have a good day.
No, I agree. I agree totally. So this is my thing. I don't mean to like interrupt, but yeah, how I found my way to being a God-fearing person is through actually using logic. And I would plead with everybody on this panel, like if you want to go look at things through a different framework, is to use logic. Meaning, like, you know, I did go look at Muslim religion. I looked at everything else, more Latter-day Saints, everything else, and I did my own research, studied, figured out actually logic led me to orthodoxy. It's unchanged. It has been untouched by the world, unmoved. Like you can look at the other thing where somebody, you know, consummated with a 9-year-old girl, that religion, or you can go to another one where Angel Moreau and I appeared to somebody else. But then if you do research, you start seeing fallacies and all this. I mean, I'm just saying you have to do your own footwork on this. But logic led me to that. And I think that if I was to talk to a woman and she sees this as a red flag, going back to the prompt, I would say, well, this is why I don't see it as a red flag. I don't want you to do OF work. I don't want you to run the streets because it keeps you more consistent. And I think I want a mother more than just a wife. You know, I want a wife who could be a mother, a role model, as somebody who we can look at Mary as an example, you know, things like this. So logically, I would tie the two with today's examples in modernity. To Neve's example, her saying that, you know, we can't tie this to modernity. We have examples of what a woman would be like with Mary, to Fatty's example saying, well, I'm just a good person. Well, you don't just want to be a good person. That's why we say you want to be Christ-like. Right? I'll never live up to that example, I'll tell you right now, but I want to keep moving every day towards that.
Go ahead, Paulo. And wife school, and then we go back to the comment.
I think there's some great points being missed, and Neve made a point earlier that I wanted to mine out. But for this, what you're saying is you rather lead the life of action rather than belief. What I alluded to before is actually a verse in the Bible. It's James chapter 2 verses 14 to 26, which talks exactly about this. Faith without work is dead. And so God-fearing is supposed to be on the similar belief as you are. Faith is not enough. Work must be accompanied by faith. And so our faith doesn't define us. Our work defines our faith.
Yes, so flip it.
So what about the instance, like also it says in the Bible?
Can you flip it before you go there?
But still, like you said, you still need to believe in the right source.
Yeah,
that's very important.
That verse, Fatty.
What about work without faith?
Yeah. So that verse goes deep into that, explaining that faith without work is dead, and therefore you cannot.
Flip it. No, Paulo, flip it. What about work without faith? What about
work without
faith? What about work meaning
religiosity?
Yeah.
What about work without faith? What about being a good person and actually be a righteous person? Or when it comes to secular beliefs, meaning you have actions that shows that you are doing the work, but you have no faith. What about that?
You still have faith, and let me make this distinction. The idea of doing work because it's either good or bad means you believe in some sense of morality, right? So there is faith there. Whether it's faith of God or not, that's a different matter altogether. But there is still faith there. Okay, now if we make it specific to God-fearing or not, then under God-fearing, it will be you don't have faith paired with work. Therefore, you're not qualified under these guidance that we have. However, for you don't have faith. Why should it matter?
Because I believe in good or wrong. I believe in right or wrong. I actually believe in it.
Okay.
I believe in it without a belief system. I
So-
don't believe
so-
that. My
criticism will be my own.
This wife school and Chiki were waiting, and then I interrupt them.
Yeah.
I'll give this example that happened a couple of weeks ago. A member of our the place where we came from got his house burned down, right, to a priest, right? And we decided to do a donation. And I was supposed to send $500 on the 22nd or the 30th when we get the YouTube check, right? And I did it. But before I pressed that button, my head went to the, God damn it, I wish I could keep this $500. This is my brain working. I can control that shit, right? My instinct was, keep that shit. But that's not what's right. It makes no difference for me to have those $500. It's not going to change nothing in my life. It's just me being greedy or just me being protectionist of the money that I got. So you know what happened? I still clicked on the button. My thoughts went one way, but my actions actually went the other way, the righteous way, right? So again, I can't understand why some people think that we cannot do good works without faith. I think people are terrible. I think
okay,
people
I follow you now.
If
I
you
follow
don't
you
have
now.
faith, it'll be replaced by something else. Because if you don't have faith, you have a void, and that void can be filled with despair or anything else. Because that faith, like if I talk to somebody and I debate with them, right? And they believe that sleeping with females is great, right? But then I tell them that if you sleep with women and you're adding the body counts, but you want somebody with no body count, how that's contradictory. I destroy that worldview, and now you have a void. You create a void, right? Faith fills a void, right? But absent that void, you have despair, curiosity, fear. Everything else can fill that if you do not have faith. And that's the difference there that I want to point out on top of what he's talking about. But go ahead.
Just to stack on top of that real quick, like you have faith in secularism as well. Like axioms are, you have to take them on faith. You cannot prove axioms.
What does that mean?
That's true, but what do you have faith in? That's the key.
Yeah. Well, like then would you not argue that's subjective from person to person?
Well, no. Well, we have an unchanged. Well, if you think about faith in Christ, what is that? You know, and if you have a faith as a secularist, what do you have faith in? Preferences?
No, it's not even a
No,
more than it's just a belief of ethics of right and wrong. Because if I'm
do
not
without will.
Yeah, but that's how most things are, unless there's a guideline given, right? And the guideline given for people who don't have a God is laws, which is why if I do what I want and I break the law, guess who just got what you said? Exiled? What is prison? What is the
No, this is very simple, and we're getting too far away from what Fetty was trying to. We're getting away is what Fetty was trying to mine out.
Please recap.
I've got the. Okay, can I?
That are bringing so much shame
I-
because you divert
No,
from the
we're making
guidelines,
arguments.
you accept
We're making
everything.
arguments without understanding what Fetty is alluding to. God-fearing doesn't determine whether you're good or bad in this instance, right? What you're trying to argue, Fatty, is why is it that I'm classified as not good even though my action shows good without the faith, right? So here, let me clarify for you. You're still a good person. However, if you want to endeavor to be in that forever reward, you have to pair it with faith. If you don't endeavor to have that consequences, why should it matter to you that your faith is there or non-existent at all? So my argument here is, if you want to go to the same place that I endeavor to as a God-fearing man, you must pair it with faith. If you endeavor not to believe in that, then it doesn't matter. You're still a good person, a good human being.
That's perfect. So this tied up with my question to wife school. That's why I came down and went to get us a beer, right? Because I explained what a good person is on this earth. A good person on this earth, and I don't want to talk about nowhere else, is a person that by the end of their life did more good things to people than they did bad things to people. There's a reality. Like I can talk about a person that has a homeless shelter or as an orphanage or is a basketball coach and he taught 1,000 kids to be good men and good people in this planet. This is what a good person is. It's an action. It's what do you do. So if I say I believe in Satan and you can't pass that shit, no matter how many things I put the number, I did this, 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 I did this. But my God is not your God. My God says, and the word Satan, I use it because it's a buzzword. But then I went and Googled it, and I don't see nothing bad here, kind of. Literally, I don't see, like, there's not something, when we think Satan is, we think this is a person that battles the people that believe in God and is outside on the streets cutting people's throats and all that. Like,
yeah, but come on, Fatty. You use manga and all that stuff as stories. You know they have them crazy titles.
but we're
Demon
not-
Slayer,
Good Christians can't even call themselves good people.
things.
If
And
we-
they're represented by demons and fire, so it doesn't look like
what
good is
does
from it.
that
Very
mean?
We-
dark.
That means
The
nothing.
thing is, I think, but
that means nothing. That is symbolism. I'll repeat it again. My
Okay, but then-
emoji. 1 second. You have to let me finish because I'll let you finish too. My emoji is a demon. The Majin Buu shit, that shit is a demon. If I change it and I put the angel on it, and my actions are literally the same, right? Let's assume my demon, my emoji, not the demon, right? Is I don't know, Sailor Moon, whatever the fuck you guys think is righteous, right? And my actions are literally the same actions. Do I become a good person now? Now that I have a Sailor Moon or Angelmon or whatever the Digimon that is good, like do I become a bad person or a good person depending on how the symbolism is on? Like, is that true, Wife School?
No, that is only a change in heart. That's only.
Can you elaborate on that? Because
If like how he said, if you add the faith to it, like you said, if you're trying to trying to receive the God-fearing results,
you are not
have
listening
to put
to
the
me.
faith to it.
You are not listening to me.
Right.
Can I steal mine if I?
Listen, I will repeat it again, and then you guys got it. And I'll read the super chat. I'll read the super chat in 5 minutes. And don't take my frustration as being mad at y'all. Again, we're repeating it as much as possible. It's just me being frustrated, right? I am person A. I've been on this space for a while. People call me demon, security boss, Venus. There was a bunch of things that call me a bunch of like demons, all just because I say I'm an atheist and because the way that my avatar is Majin Buu. He's a demon. Technically, he's a demon, right? That's fiction. I don't believe in Majin Buu. Majin Buu is not my god. This is just an avatar. I was fat. There's a fat Buu. I've been using this shit for a lot of years, and I just translated to this place. And because of the significance of having an M on my forehead, a lot of times I go on TikTok and they talk about, oh, the bad spirits on this room. There is a demon in the room, and I didn't even say nothing. So what I'm asking is, if I'm still the same person, exactly the same person, my actions, not what I believe, not what I say, if my actions are completely the same, but now instead of me being a symbolism of a demon, if I am an angel, if I am something that people look at as a positive view, right? Am I still somebody that is deemed as bad, or just me taking the label and taking the symbolism and taking the imagery? Do I become good now that I don't subscribe to that type of imagery, right? Meaning same actions, but now I'm not Majin Buu. I am Jesus is my savior 245. That's my new YouTube name, right? Do I become a different person?
You don't become a different person, but still, I would, like you said, like we go back. You can put all the imagery you want. You could be the wolf in sheep clothing, all right? But your actions will be the delineation. And then I would have to say, well, what God do you believe in? So now that's the differentiation where our gods don't match. So
I believe in no God.
That brings us to two different paths.
I believe in no
that
God.
doesn't mean I can't talk to you. Like Paul in the Bible, his name was Saul. He thought he was doing the right thing. He was zealous. He was on the Sanhedrin. He spoke like 6 or 7 languages. He knew the Torah back and forth, but yet he was persecuting Christians. And he thought he was being good. He thought he was doing this in the name of God. And he called the lions on people, imprisoning people, until he met Christ. And he said, you're persecuting me. You think you're doing a righteous thing by your actions or whatever, whoever's validating you. But this is who you're really coming against now. So this is a fight. Wage this war with me, because that's who you're really fighting. You're fighting the belief that these people have in me. You can't get to me. You can't get to me, but you can get to them because you can see them. But now I'm here. So what are we going to do now? And that's when he had the true transformation. He said, oh, my Lord, my God, because he knew at that moment he couldn't win that fight.
But there's a problem. You can
kick against the knife.
I agree with you.
You're gonna bleed.
Wife school, that's true. But there's a fight between me and God. It's not a fight between me and you.
Exactly. That's why I said it's a matter of the heart.
If I'm a good man and your God exists, right? Your God will take care of me when I get there. Like, right? But on this world,
if that's what you want.
No, there's no.
Can I steal mana? Can I steal mana, please?
No, it's not what I want. If my actions on this planet is good, everybody should treat me like a good person. And if my actions are not conducive to your God because I don't believe in them, let them handle me. But if I'm not a religious person, and Marty is a religious person, and a woman comes to me and says, hey, do you recommend me dating Marty? I'll say yes, because he's a good man, not because he's a religious man, not because he believes in the afterlife, not because he's a God-fearing man, because he's a good man. I see them wake up every day, go to work, take care of his kids, take care of his family, be a good friend. So this person, no matter how he labels himself, I'll recommend you because he's a good person.
But the thing is,
you guys can pass the label. As soon as the person says, I am a Buddhist, I am an atheist, I am secular. As soon as I say secular, would you recommend me being with Fatty? No, he's not a God-fearing man. He doesn't believe in God. Wait, does he do bad things to people? No. He's just that he doesn't believe in God. He's actually a good guy. I see him around, kind of good to throw parties to people, no? But he doesn't believe in God. I've been seeing him on YouTube talking about secular things. So I'm not going to recommend you to that person, not because he's a bad or good person looking at actions, it's because he doesn't believe in things. And this, in my opinion, is borderline problematic. Everybody can live the way they live.
That's what I said. Your problem that you have, even though you've developed this system for yourself, it's gonna come head to head with the problems that you're receiving.
From who?
How come you say it ain't good? Because there is a higher system that you just can't get over, but your self-righteousness keeps you here. So that's your choice. So either you're gonna keep being the way you are, whatever, until you accept the goodness of God.
White school. So I'm gonna say this. So even Christians like myself, we don't even believe we're good people.
Why should what goes on in Fatty's mind have any bearing on his actions? If all that matters,
because your thoughts control your emotions.
Yeah, but his actions are sound. It doesn't matter what his emotions were. His actions are sound.
But he's not, because literally he just said, I don't want to send this money. So there is a battle that's going on.
But I send the money anyway.
Okay. But that's not. But that's not a battle I can see. One day you may overcome the battle. One day you might not overcome it. You understand? When you don't overcome the battle that day, who's holding you accountable to that? Is that you, or do you feel bad in the eyes of God?
Religious people have bad thoughts every single. Like, come on, man. Think about it. Everybody on this conversation probably had suicide thoughts once, or kind of look at the mirror and says, man, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, why the fuck am I waking up? Doesn't that mean that we committed suicide? No, we wake up every day. We put 2 motherfucking boots and says, let me go take care of my dad. My dad needs me. Let me go there. My wife needs me. Let me keep going. My kids need me. I'm not going to be a coward, even though I'm battling with depression and I want just to stay in this bed for 20 hours a day. I will wake up, take a shower, and do my job. These people are being judged by what they do, not by what they have in their head.
But you're still being performative. You really haven't given up the thing that is troubling you. That's why God came to deal with the matters of the heart. That's why he said he came to set the captive free. You're captive in that depression. Why not give it to me? That's why I put my back out for you. That's why I had the stripes for you, so you can give it up. You don't have to bear that burden. Now you're trying to bear the burden and try to be good and trying to do all these things and juggle it on your own, when actually you could just give it to God so he can help you with it. That's the problem. So but we want to be our own law. We want to be our own guidance. And so therefore we're left with all the consequence and all the burden. That's when we reap what we sow.
So here's a big difference I'm going to point out. I can't even call myself a good person being Christian. No, like if you're a real Christian, you're not going to say, oh, I'm a good person. No, I don't even think, I'm just going to say myself, I don't even think I'm worthy of even looking at the church, right? There's a certain humility that even, I don't even think some Satanists have. Like, and then you have to realize, though, there's something that's unchanging as a standard. The only thing, here's the thing. I'll never think I'm a good person. You'll never hear me say I'm a good person. Even if Fatty says, oh, Marte's a good person, you should date him. I might tell the girl, hey, I don't think I'm truly good. I don't even think I deserve to even step foot in the church. She might say, well, I don't know, he might be too humble. I don't know. But there's a certain sense of humility that comes with that. I have to need what she was saying, the fallibility. I'm telling people I'm fallible. I'm not perfect. And that's the thing when people talk about good or bad or all this other stuff. I'm never going to own that title of good, because I can't even own up. I can't even be perfect to do that. That's what I'm saying.
And he's not practical.
Can I quickly jump in here, Fatty?
Yeah. Let me ask you something, Paulo, real quick.
Yep.
Is my mic good now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
It's Palo. It is Palo.
Yeah, Paulo and Cheeky, right? Every day I wake up and think about dieting and go to the gym. Every day. I feel bad about myself, man. I said I was going to go on this fitness journey. I keep saying I'm going to do it, and it's YouTube. Do I deserve a cookie? Because my thoughts are good, but I still don't eat well. I still don't like, my thoughts are irrelevant. What is relevant is, am I going to the gym or not? People literally say, like the big gym guys, man, what today I woke up feeling like shit. I didn't want to go to the gym, but look at me. I'm here now. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to eat well. They didn't want to do it, but at the end of the day, they did it. And you know how we judge them? Not by what they thought when they woke up in the morning, if they wanted to do it or not, but the fact that they did it. Even though they have negative thoughts, they turn the shit into something good, and now they're sleeping with the rested conscience because they did their job. Why can we apply this shit to relationships? To not religion, because religion has like established rules. Why can't we apply that shit to the overall opinion about people? Oh, yeah.
Well, Fatty,
yeah, go ahead.
Do you believe thoughts can become things?
Yes.
That's my whole point.
Possibilities, everything is possible. So your question is it possible that A can turn into B? Absolutely. I can think that I can fly, but if I jump out of the window, you know what happens? A fat person in Portugal jumps from the 9th floor and is... That's going to be the headline. I thought
Mate. No, Fatty, I thought Mate was gonna push back in the sense. Sure, you have escaping thoughts all throughout of impulses, but on a deeper level, you believe if you do not go train, you're going to lose all that is that you have built up so far, and so that inherently drives you to act upon, rather than I don't feel like going to the gym, I'm just gonna stay home. You understand deep down, and you believe there's certain consequences that goes against the what it is that you're deeply rooted in belief. The earlier question is the good or bad. The definition that we define that by can differ, and I think Neve made a good point, which I was trying to mine out, but it's lost on me now. The idea of faith is for what? Under the God-fearing belief, it's for salvation. So, when there's judgment to be made on opinions, if you don't want salvation, sure. But if I make a recommendation to someone who's also wanting salvation, the idea of faith needs to be part of action. It is not one without the other. And so for our own opinion to exist in a world where we don't all believe in the same thing, sure, you can be labeled as good. But the moment you say to me, I want salvation, then I'm going to say, unfortunately, you won't, because you don't have faith. So if you want salvation...
Yes, so that's fair, but this is why we're here, right? People are asking for advice and guidance for this life, not for the afterlife. I never heard nobody come on this panel and says, hey, sir and sir, Tommy Sotomayor, Anton Daniels, Angry Man, Andrew Wilson, I want advice to solve this relationship with my wife that includes this life and the afterlife. Nobody talks like that. People kind of understand what they have to do to gain salvation. I am removing that from the conversation because people kind of know already what they have to do because the rules are there. You can follow. On another level, Paulo, I see, and again, I see all the time people give advice to how to keep relationships that is ungodly or not godlike. Because he works on this earth. Hey, instead of being good to her and do this. And this is going to get her right back. Yeah, this is how you should not punish her, but this is how there's a lot of advice that is the opposite of what righteous is or good is, because that's what it works. And if we are having the conversation, so what he works on this earth, right? I don't include what happens on the next life, because on the afterlife, somebody will deal with you. No matter what happens, either we become dormant forever, we go to heaven, to hell. If that actually happens, you have no choice. You are going to be dealt with when you get there. Right here on earth, you have a choice. You have a choice to do A pet or B pet. So
the removal of salvation does limit. It's damn near impossible then to make any argument for God fearing, because that's what drives almost every God fearing person, is the idea of salvation. And so it becomes an even more difficult conversation to be had. And it's a difficult position to hold, making arguments for rather than against. When I think,
isn't there like a passage in the Bible that says, like God will only throw at you battles that he knows you can withstand, or something like that? Meaning that he might actually have a level of, because it happened on the Bible too. God he was not a passive person just watching things unroll. He was actually involved in it. Can God-fearing man, and we can go back to the prompt, and I promise, friends, I'm doing a bad job reading the super chats, but I will do it. Can God-fearing man, a person being afraid of being struck by a thunder, getting a disease because they are doing too much, like they let the village be invaded, lose their family, like it was in the Bible, right? People didn't do what God wanted to do, so God inflicted the punishment in them because you are not living the way I like. Could that be an earthly thing instead of an afterlife thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Wife School was trying to allude to that before, and part of her argument is that consequences is also instantaneous. We might not interpret it so consequences for God-fearing is instantaneous, but ultimately salvation is your ultimate consequence. That's what drives all of your action. But you do understand that you will be faced with, if you want to call it luck or bad luck, on this earth if you go against the faith that you profess to believe in and work towards.
And I'm sorry for reviewing the ticker. Do women view male faith as strength or subtle control? Let's go back to it. Neve, what's your opinion about that?
Sorry, can you say that again? Your accent sucks.
I know. You know what's fucked up? I know I have the unfair advantage now, because when I am not familiar with the Irish accent, and when Tariq starts talking, I'm like, oh, so this is what they mean when they don't understand what I'm saying.
Yep.
So I apologize for my New York accent is not working. I will be solving that very soon. Okay, with talking slower and with English language, properly English language. So the question is, do women view male faith as strength or subtle control? Meaning, if you're looking at the man, I'll say it again. If you look at the man that is religious, do they believe that's a strong man, or do they believe that is a man that will use it to control you? They just use a religion to kind of put you in a place so he can control you. Like, which one do you think woman, when they see a man that is religious, gravitate towards the good one or the bad one?
I think the instinct is probably the control one, but everyone has to kind of like take a pause and recognize when their thoughts are a little too persecutory and try and get yourself somewhere neutral, I think. But I think like instinctively, maybe more of the control.
Do you disagree, Red?
Nope. Today's woman view it as being controlling because of the structure and discipline that most religions have. And in most religions, the men are the head. It's patriarchy. And you have the feminist mindset of the women today. They definitely will view it as being controlled.
Anyone disagrees with the control thing?
Yeah, I disagree, and this is face value, and there's not a lot that I can make an argument for that is deeply rooted in some proof or facts. So I'm going to use data. The data that I've found is that America is mostly married. It's not by much, but it's mostly married, and it's increased just post-COVID. And not only that, out of the subset that are married, there are more with faith than there are not. So I'm going to make my assumption based on that it is the women view it as strength and discipline because they're making choices to be with men who are of faith. If it's controlling, we understand, and I'm looking at behavior. Women who believe that that's controlling when a man is of traditional values, they tend to not align or create relationship with them. So those are the basis of my arguments for those. It's not strong, so I'm making a lot of assumption based on that.
Most women are not traditional, so they don't have traditional values, and so they won't want a traditional man. So that's where that's where I'm coming from.
But the data shows overwhelmingly,
women do not want a traditional man. That's what I'm.
Yeah, so I'm using the data to present that there are more married people in America than there are not, and out of those married people, there are more of faith than there are not. And so I'm making that assumption is if women are choosing to be married with men of faith, then I'm making the assumption that they see it as strength rather than controlling, purely out of the data set. It's not by much, and I misuse overwhelmingly. It's not an overwhelming number of
married
women married.
Especially in the black community, or more women married in the black community?
I didn't go further into the data separating by that, so I'm just making a general assumption on what I see.
And the
The
reality,
trending would have a huge impact.
a lot of people like the title and they buy the crosses and they want to be married in the church and they want to do all the things that look good and that kind of ties with religion. But as soon as ask the bachelor, ask the religious bachelor what was he doing Friday in Vegas before the wedding. Ask him. The wedding is on Saturday. He's gonna come. Dun, 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 dun. Oh my God, such a respectful bachelor. And he was on a motherfucking whorehouse on the day before with his friends because he wanted to have fun. I'm going to say, y'all religious, like not religious, because the Charlie Hebdo motherfuckers, they kind of believe in that shit. Most Christians, like most Christians. And most Christians, if I came in with $1 million, I can buy I will buy you talking shit about your race. I will buy you talking shit about your tribe. I will buy access to woman. Like it's not real. And when I say it's not real, I'm not claiming that you don't believe it. I just claim that you don't follow it. And if you don't follow it, there's the works part. Right? And you do this from 13 to 60 something. It looks like it's
I gotta head out, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much for being here, man. Thank you very much. We're not going to stay for a long, man. More 15 minutes and we head out, okay?
All right,
so I appreciate you. So I'm not against the religious part of it. I said it again, and don't use it against me on a debate because the views of Ferry today will not be the views of Ferry tomorrow. So you can put me on the box, okay? Because I know what people are going to do, and I'm savvy enough.
The secularism.
I'm savvy enough because the debate was already got me once. I'm not everything.
Ferry, I'm asking
today,
you.
I'm wishy-washy tomorrow, okay?
Ferry, I'm asking you. This is a great line of thought, and I'd like to take this space as soon as you finish, because this is a great line of thought, and I have a great argument for that.
Yes, I'm saying I believe that even though religious has the bad parts about it, which kind of eliminates the freedom of choice of a lot of elements in society, religious institutions had a massive power when it comes to bringing structure to the planet. Because now men are suppressed, women are suppressed, and if you are not being good to your husband or your wife, you are going to see the minister on Sunday. You are going to see the pastor on Sunday. People are going to know what you're doing, right? So there's an element of control and suppression that I believe that religion actually brings to the table. But the thing is, the rules have to be followed. And what I see is, once again, the people will live a secular lifestyle from Monday to Saturday and then come to the church on Sunday, dress all nice and pretending that they actually believe and they believe, and they do the cycle all over again. And when I ask him what is to be good, they will answer me on a secular way. You need to take care of your kids, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. And then when I ask them on Sunday what it is to be good, you need to believe in God and not to eat bacon and another. So you're not the same person. You're wishy-washy.
And by the way, the divorce rate is 27%. Just so you know.
You know what's awesome about this line of thought, Fatty, is that your criticism is very unique to those of faith. Can I assume then you have a higher level of standards for those with faith than those who are not?
Yes.
Okay.
Like saying,
great.
If I say I'm a shitty person, nobody should be surprised that I'm shitty. But if you say I'm a righteous person, you now have to oppose on standard. If you say you're righteous, I better see you do some righteous shit when you're walking down the street, right? And
So there's your difference, because it's not unique to only secular people looking into the faith. It's both. So you have the criticism from outside and internally. And so the argument to be made by those of God-fearing is that there is a higher level of standards that you have to abide by. Otherwise, the consequences is profound. It's not only the instantaneous consequences of plague, using an example from the Bible and salvation. There is those without faith who will also deem you unworthy of your faith, even though they do not believe in the same line of thought or belief.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
have a question for the panel, if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was that so? I
Yeah, we waiting.
I thought that was. I have a question. So
because you made the statement, yes.
Okay, is the question?
It was a statement, right, Paulo? It was not a question. It was a statement that you made, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still trying to follow the line of the differences in between secularism and God-fearing. And I'm trying to make the argument of the criticism is well-deserved. However, recognize that the standards held for those who believe is higher than those who don't believe. Because it's on both sides of the coin.
And I will say this, right? And I will say this. For example, we have Neve on the panel. Neve is a fucking asshole. I'm sorry. It is what it is. So I understand why a secular person that Neve is being an asshole to goes ahead and be asshole back. But for people that are righteous, I actually noticed that the righteous people are the most, his foot on the neck. I see you on the chat. Blah, 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 blah. Like they don't even give a chance to the person to do something wrong without jumping on them. You see what I'm saying? So, like, why is the secular people, and again, I will say these secular people, I'm not talking about the lefties on TikTok, okay? That literally jump on your neck for anything and everything, because we have these people that claim secularism and tolerance, and they are not tolerant at all. But for people that actually believe on the secular values of like don't do to others like what you, and I know that's on the Bible, I know.
Don't go too far, Freddy. I think you had a really good point.
To you, I don't understand why these people are so mean,
I can answer that, and my apologies, because I'm going to answer this with a question. You had a criticism for conditional faithful people, and now you're also questioning why there are those with faith who criticizes people who do not align with their faith. So there's never a win in that sense. So what you're asking the question essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, those with faith are mean to those without faith, and they critique them based on what aligns with their faith.
Yes, but there's...
I would applaud that, because they're not conditional. They're not saying, oh, let me be open. I believe my faith so much that I'm going to defend it, and I'm going to disassociate myself with everything that doesn't align.
Absolutely, but that, for example, if I'm a Christian, doesn't there's a verse in the Bible that says to treat your neighbor like sorry, you guys are religious. Can complete this for me. How should you treat your neighbor?
You should always love you should love your neighbor as yourself.
Okay.
And you should love
but you should condemn evil.
God with your whole heart, mind, and soul. And he commands you to love one another as yourself.
Yeah, but there's also a part there.
If those people do not receive you, dust the dust off your feet and leave. So I don't have to people please you. I don't have to kiss your butt. I don't have to demean myself. I don't have to cast my pearls before you because you're gonna stomp on them and you guys are doing this. No, okay, cool, that's fine. Thank you.
So there's two advices, right?
That's it.
So there's two advices. Treat your neighbor like you wanted to be treated, and if your neighbor doesn't listen or doesn't believe in what you believe, bounce. right? So is leave or treat him good. And then there's people jumping from the top rope and doing the people's elbow or people's head just because that's
But at that point,
I,
they're getting in their flesh, which Peter did when they came to arrest Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he was trying to defend him. He was trying to defend him in the flesh against his purpose of what he came to do. He could not stop that. No sword, no action on him, like coming off the top rope, was gonna stop what was about to happen, because that was supposed to happen.
Yes.
So he got in
No,
his emotions and it override it. And even Jesus at that moment, he said, put that up. If you live by it, you're going to die by it. And he healed the man here. He put it back on. He's like, it's done.
No,
Ferry,
can I make this very simple for you?
Yes.
Can I make this very simple for you?
I and Red, don't forget your question so we can wrap it up. I understand what y'all saying. That has nothing to do with YouTube or Xbox lobby or TikTok or X, right? There's nobody that is about to die or getting their ear cut off. There's nobody threatening you. No, there's no threat of life whatsoever. And I noticed that people on the internet are the most evil than actually people in real life. These people will throw anything and everything at you on the internet and then take a shower, go to the street. Hi, Mr. Lady, how you doing? Like they are nice people in person, right? They are all of these, and this is a part of me, right? Especially for the people that know me from Fight Club. I'm actually cleaning my shit up, but people kind of know this is a part of me. This is a side of me. I don't use this on real life because I don't need to. But I kind of notice that I come on the internet and the monster comes out a little bit because that's what I need to survive. But for the most part, I can do it because I'm a secular person. Nobody told me that was wrong. I do what I do. I don't have a moral system like you guys say I do. So I do what I need to do, right? It's more of a survivalist type of mentality. And I'm not going to hurt people just because I'm playing with food. But if you are going to do something bad to me, I'm going to do something bad to you. If you have a religious principle, that's not what your God tells you to do.
Can you elaborate where there's confliction? Thaddy, I'm trying to follow your line of thoughts. Can you elaborate?
A religious person has instructions. Treat your neighbor well, and if your neighbor doesn't believe in your God, bounce. There's no be mean to your neighbor. Throw trash in his house.
Okay. There is this verse. I can't find it, and if I do, I'll post it in back chat. There is also within the same sets of instruction as to condemn evil.
Yes.
Right. So it's a sequential kind of interaction as be good in general when you are within your neighbors, but if they are evil, you should condemn them. So it's not be good all the time to anyone and everyone. It is be good and be of good nature, because that is of God. However, when you see evil, you must condemn it.
So
evil, not the person.
Yeah,
okay,
let's
make that distinction, because I can say to Miss Neve, I was on a panel with Neve a while ago. Now I could be up here like, look at the transgender. No. There's no profitability in that and doing all this stuff. I can have a sensible conversation with her. I don't agree with the lifestyle, but you know what? I can sit here and respect her, because you know what? God made her as well. She has her choice. I can love her. And who knows? I might turn around and she may change. I don't know that. But all I know is I have to control what I do and what I believe. If I say what I believe and love my neighbor, I'm supposed to show her that love, and that's an extension of the love that he's given me and pardon me. So I have to show that extension of that pardon and that love in need. And so that's how people get converted. That's how people get one. You know what? I thought they were suckers. You know what else are that mumbo jumbo? But actually, Stephanie changed my mind. I'm rocking with Stephanie. That's cool. See, now I can do that. That's how it should be. But we get in our feelings. We want to be right, and that takes over a lot of stuff, and we see it advertised on, like you said, the social media. That's what gets highlighted. All the bad stuff always get highlighted, and the good people get mixed in with the foolishness. And so it's just like nobody knows what to believe.
And even the good people are not following what they should follow. You know why? Let me actually tell you know why. I will go to all these women that they call pick-me's and all that, and I go on the group, and they will say all the good things, and they'll say, yeah, you should follow man, and you should listen to him, and he's God, man, and woman, and children. And as soon as they disagree with their man, that shit goes out of the window. As soon as that man starts saying no, there's no, I will follow you to the end. As soon as the structure puts them in a position where now they have to answer to the rule book, because the rule book says your husband is over you, and unless like he's not hurting you or he's not, that trip to Cancun is not going to hurt you. So sorry, lady, I know you're going to feel bad about it, but the kitchen renovation, right? The kitchen renovations that you want, that you've been asking, they are not going to hurt you. And as soon as the same people that say, I believe in the Bible, start to hear no, that shit goes out of the window. So I will, and this is why I believe a lot of times that you can lead without having a higher power. If that secular woman that doesn't believe that you are above you respects you and knights you as a leader, and she follows you, she is superior to the woman that says, I believe in God and you are above me. And then as soon as push comes to shove, nah, brother, if you don't do what I want you to do, I'm going to divorce you and get somebody that will. So at the end of the day, once again, I believe in structure. I believe that structure without power to enforce it is null, is irrelevant. And for the most part, religion in the West being deemed to something that is only appealing to people that choose to follow it, because you have a choice. And if you have a choice, the same way this woman can choose to submit to you and on the next day revoke that submission, you can choose to submit to religion. And as soon as you say, nah, I'm not going to do it, there's no scarlet letter, there's no let's go burn the witch, there's no nothing. So why do we use it for? It's a question for another show. Red, ask your question. I'm going to read the super chats, and then we are out. I might come back later today after Nino Nation.
This was good, Fatty.
I for the most part in my life, I choose good. In my life, I did some dumb shit. I did dumb shit a lot. I have one thing unresolved that I think is actually like is something that is under works, right? But for the most part, I believe that if I tomorrow I'm not here and I get somewhere and they open a gate and they have all the things that I did in this life, I think other than jerking off to Pinky, I have probably 80% of good things and 20% of bad things. And I say, I'm sorry, God, that sock. I shouldn't have punished that sock like that when I was 16. That sock was white, now he's yellow. I apologize, but I had to hide it from my parents. Pretty Red, Petty Red, please. As the last question, I read the super chats and then we go home.
Okay, getting back to the video.
Yeah, you are wrong.
Getting back to the video, I want to ask the men that were, really strong with the Christianity and having beliefs in God. So let's get back to the video. What would you say? Because I'm going with what a lot of the women I hear say. They don't want to deal with a religious man, whether he's secular, not secular, but conditional or orthodox, as you would say. Besides, so, she had, like Joy, she has a bad experience with a man, right? With a religious person. So if you come along and you're a religious man and you really like her, you're rocking with her, but she's still hesitant because she had this bad experience with this man because he was very domineering. He wanted to change her. She didn't like that. He was very controlling. I'm just saying all the things that the ladies be saying these days, right? Mm-hmm. Very controlling. You won't, let me be, a woman and let me do what I want to do. Or, you know how the modern women talk today. What would be your response to her, you being a God-fearing man, to convince her that she's not going to have that type of experience with you?
honestly, this is what I would do. I wouldn't come to her with Christ or any of that stuff. That'd be probably, to be honest with you, I would meet her where she's at, because conversion through husband and conversion through boyfriend doesn't work, to be honest with you. The way that I would do it is I would meet her where she's at. Hey, how you doing? This and that. If it comes up, hey, were you going to church Sunday? This and that. It would slowly come up, right? I would bring it up. You can't force this on anybody. You can't just say, hey, the same thing with the gym. You can't say, she wants to date me as a bodybuilder. I can't say, well, no, you have to put the donut down. I'm not going to scream all this stuff at her. I'm not going to force. Oh, you like donuts? Oh, okay, that's cool. Well, it would have to be from her. She would say, well, oh, you don't eat them? Yeah, I don't eat them because the reason why is because it's going to make me have rolls on the side or something like that. I don't do that, but I'm not going to advocate for you not to do that. I'm just going to see where this goes, So the best way to do it is to meet people where they're at. The minute I throw up Christ or God or anything like that, you put up a wall. And Tani's point is, the wall is supposed to deter people away that you don't want in your life, but also you don't want to use this as like a force you have to come over too. You got to kind of meet people where they're at. And that's all I'm going to say is, like, if they ask, like, this is what I do on Sunday, this and that, you want to kind of ease people in, but also not force people at the same time. So that's what I was saying.
Any other men? Because I have a question for
I'm the complete opposite. I'm complete opposite. Whether religious or not, you lead with your values and your principles, and if faith is part of that, then that becomes also something you lead with. And the reason for that is a lot of the relationships that we looked at modeled of whether successful or not, it tends to be the ones that align similarly, especially in religious background, that do end up being what we quote unquote qualify as successful relationship or marriages. So I think a big part of the problem is that people are so open to almost damn near everything in the beginning that they get too far into the relationship that they're now finding out the honeymoon phase is over. We actually don't agree on a lot of things. We don't agree in principles and values, and now, oh shit, we're stuck with each other. And then there's bad separation, or there's just toxic relationship for a very long time. So I'm in the opposite. I lead with what I value, what my belief systems are, and it's up to you to decide whether that's something you can align to or endeavor to align to. And that's.
But no, I'm saying what you're saying is I'm not saying I'm neutral or I'm going to fold or anything like that. I am leading with this example of Christ and everything else. I'm just not going to force people. I'm not going to try to sell them this. That's what I'm saying.
I agree with the force part. Yeah. Completely agree.
That's what I mean.
I have a question for Wife School. It's kind of like the flip side.
Before you go, you like me, you chose me for a reason. If you don't trust me, bye. I don't have to convince you to nothing. Like I hate I chose you to fuck me. I chose you to have a kid by you. I chose you for us to be on the same house, sharing the mortgage and all that. But can you ensure me that you are not going to be a tyrant in 2028? Can you ensure me that you're not going to deny me sex in 2020? Like you can. Like life is full of risks. So if you chose me, just like I chose you, I'm expecting you to not deny me sex in 10 years when your libido change. And I think you should trust me not becoming a tyrant because you chose me too. So you see what I'm saying, Red? The best way to actually diffuse these situations is you don't trust me, but it's not because of something that I did to you. You don't trust me because you are not going to trust other men. You're not going to trust other men that says 50-50. You're not going to trust other men that says you can lead all you want. You are not going to trust any man. So it's not about us, right? It's not about me. It's about you. And it's fine for you to have that distrust. But in reality, and once again, most women will change their mind if you sell that shit pretty well. And I don't want you to sell nothing, because this is when you get caught too. It told me to do this. I didn't know that. Paulo Feza told me to ABCD. So is this? No, you are a grown up. Move along, lady. You know exactly what you need to be doing, and you know exactly what this job is to be done. So you don't need to convince me to do nothing when we already are on year 4. We have 2 kids, pay a mortgage together, they have a life together. I know your mama, you know mine. Like, I don't have to convince you to nothing. Just move along. Go ahead, ask the question, Red, and then we go. We wrap it up. Thank
So
you very much for the 5 memberships. We achieved the goal today. We are 614 members. So thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Patty.
So the question is to a white school. So the question is this. So there is a stigma or stereotype for the church woman, the church girl, the Christian woman, right? So here is the scenario. Most time men view, this is one of the reasons why men left the church, especially the Black church, because of overly zealous women in the church, right? So say if a man is interested in you, you're dating him, and you are, you're telling him about your faith and all that. Here's one of the turnoffs for a lot of men that I've talked to, is the fact that a lot of women, and I can only speak for Black women, especially in the Black church, they become very dedicated to the church and to the pastor, and they forget about home and their husband, because their devotion is so much into God, they forget about their duties at home. How would you address that?
How would I address that is that if they came to me personally, and like you said, well, my husband says I'm so dedicated. Well, I'm like, well, your first ministry and your first obedience is at home and your husband. As much as you want to serve at your church, you have to listen to your husband's instruction. And sometimes you may think that you're doing right, but you're actually disrupting the homeostasis of your home. Now, God tells us that obedience is better than sacrifice. Why sacrifice your whole household by being disobedient? Just be obedient, and then things will flow. And have the communication with your husband. Tell him why you want to go to the church, but don't just usurp your authority. Don't just be storming out. Don't emasculate him. Don't make him feel like his words don't matter. You don't do that, because you chose him. You chose him to be your leader, and so
Can I
add on top of that? I just want to add one little thing.
Hold on 1 second. Can I throw a little wrench into that, right?
Okay, wrench it up.
A lot of times, salvation is found later. You've been married, and you're the only one that goes to church now, and your husband doesn't. So he's not following Christ, but now you are following Christ. And so there's some kind of some contention in the household, because he's not following Christ like you are. You are more dedicated to the church now. How do you deal with that?
Well, from what I saw, right, I've seen people that came into my ministry, and the wife and the husband were unsaved, but the wife was the one that converted. And what I've seen is that they're still married today because she loves Eddie. She values Eddie. Eddie hasn't changed, and her love hasn't switched up. It's actually been a blessing for him. Now it may not be instantaneous, but by her good behavior and still serving as a wife, not forgetting everything, because that don't change. It doesn't change because you come to God. Actually, it should drive you to love your husband more. It should. You should sex upon him more, because the bed is undefiled. Now there's no holds barred. You know what I'm saying? So now you're within those divine rights, and you should take full advantage of it. But we get tricked out by the enemy, and we weaponize it. We hold it, and the scripture said you can't hold it, because that's when the enemy comes in, like, oh, your wife ain't been, throwing her back like she used to, but Nev and Red, they looking pretty thick, you know what I'm saying? So now the wonder in the eyes come, and you're contributing to that, but it doesn't switch up, it doesn't change, and it doesn't relieve you, now that you came to Christ, to stop your wifely duties at home to your husband, who you chose to be over you. And you should govern yourself according to God, which he says, submit to your husband. So it never changes. It doesn't change outside, and it doesn't change when you come to him either.
So you said that, even though she believes in God and he doesn't. And so she still does her wifely duties. She still, loves him. So what would be the difference? Because I know you said that you would want a religious man, to get involved with. So how is that different? You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I understand how you're saying.
so how is that different? Then you still would love this person because he's still a good man. He's still a good father. He still does his duties as a husband. So why wouldn't you want to be with someone like that as well? If just because you're a Christian?
I guess where that may get a little fuzzy is because maybe you want to start sharing your faith. You know what I'm saying? You may want to start sharing these things with this person that you love, and if you kind of dismissive with it, it kind of can hurt your feelings. It's sort of like when that kid brings you drawing, hey mom, I did this for you. I did this, maybe 1,000 stuff. Like when you dismiss them, it kind of it can hurt the feelings. So that is a tough one because I was in that situation, and I thought that I could put and tolerate. I thought I could tolerate it. You know what I'm saying? Because he was a good man. And yes, he was. But the thing is, he wasn't made for me. You know what I'm saying? That you could be a close fit, but it's not an exact fit. So I may need to go.
So is that a cause for divorce then? If you become a Christian?
No, I thought you meant for like somebody before, like if you're dating somebody. No, or in a marriage.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to say, like, so if it was some contention there, you couldn't talk to him. Would you feel the same way if it was your husband that you couldn't talk to and you felt you got in your feelings because he didn't want to listen? You know what I'm saying? So how would you deal with that? Because you still have those same feelings if you were dating a man like that, right? So how would you deal with that if that was your secular husband having those feelings?
If that was my secular husband, I would definitely have to talk to somebody because that may be something I would probably have a hard time navigating, right? So like you said, how we get in our feelings, and I may come off the top rope. You don't need to get over here and read James with me, or get you know what I'm saying. So instead of doing that, which is the wrong response, and since I'm already in the marriage and God doesn't like divorce, I need to find a different way to approach it. So that may mean I may have to have my prayer room. Okay, honey, I'm going to my prayer room, or I'm studying over here, and they can say, okay, that's not putting on any demands for him, but I still have to still be devoted to God, still be devoted to and submitted to my husband. So in those hard situations, you do need to seek counsel and not your feelings, because that's where, like you said, a lot of the women get in their feelings, throw their whole husband away, throw everything away because you told me no, I couldn't go to Cancun. But no, actually, you need to go talk to somebody wise and say, calm down. Cancun can come next year. But
what if your husband tell you, I don't want you going to the church and telling people my business and seeking counsel for them? What if you say that? So then I mean, I'm giving you live examples. I have heard it all. I'm telling you, my father was a pastor, so I heard it all. So, stories about sessions. That's what a lot of them
like grace, and we was talking about grace. I don't know. You gotta have a lot of grace. You know what I'm saying? You gotta work through that. If the Bible says if the husband desires to stay, if the unbelieving husband desires to stay with the wife, then y'all guys got to work through that. It's still a marriage. It's still something that you guys committed to, and you have to find a way to mitigate
wife
that.
school.
And you still have to have your good behavior as a wife.
And wife school. I'm glad that we got here. What you describe is what the secular woman needs to do to keep her marriage too. Think about it. Everything you describe, we need to work it out, and I need to get some counseling to talk. We might change all the labels and the constraints and all that.
It's the same thing.
The secular woman, to be the good woman, she has to do exactly what the religious woman has to do a lot of times. So this is where we get into the See what I'm saying?
But you said, like, if we have no good friends, or if we have no good friends at, you know, the gossip ladies at church, we're never going to get anywhere. You can't get with people that validate those bad feelings. It's never going to work, and they will freaking snuff you out of your marriage. You do not run into the hands of the easy way out. You have to go to people that have some knowledge, that probably had some you know, fight in the game, and that's been through this, and you seek that counsel, and then you go back and apply it.
Absolutely. But you know what I've been saying, and this is my last remark, we'll close it out. This is what I've been seeing. Woman choose men, they know the rule book, and they go, like, they know men, right? They know the nature of men. You know, there's some things on that book that justify me divorcing this dude. So the same way the secular woman doesn't want to be cheated on or be abused or something like that, so that's the deal breaker. The religious woman, like they used to say, if you want to find something, you will. If you look for something, you will find it. They will dive their head into that book. They will find the reasoning for why their husband is not doing A, B, C, and they will leave that shit and say, see, here is in this book say my husband is da da blah blah blah, so I'm out. And you can say nothing, because once again, even though she might not believe it, she knows the loopholes. She's just like a lawyer looking for a flaw in the law, so he can kind of go ahead and circumvent the chain.
And Fatty, that's why Moses had to give the bill of the people, and he had to do it because they just would have shut up and we'll be quiet. Because
repeat that again, because Paulo got off the mute and we kind of, like, the audio went puffy. Like what you said, what did they have to do?
No, I was saying that's why Moses gave the bill of divorcement, because of people's hardness of heart. Like, I can't stand this, can't work out. I felt like they just couldn't do it. He said, you know what? Here's the bill of divorcement for infidelity, abandonment, and that's it. Like, so if he has his dirty drawers on the floor, that is no cause.
Infidelity and what is the second one?
Abandonment.
What does that imply? Like he leaves and never comes back?
When dad goes for a pack of cigarettes and doesn't come home.
Yeah, go get that milk.
Okay, so the first one, right?
Yeah, first one definitely.
Yeah, but
oh boy, here we go.
I'm just going to say this, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm snitching.
Oh my Lord, here we go.
I see a lot of these supposed religious people that follow the Bible making excuses for how men should be fucking at the moment. I was just saying. I'm not even. You know what? I will snitch on myself first. Okay. I think that rule that rule on that book is dirty macking. Y'all are fucking up for us. Y'all religious people are putting these rules of fidelity and all that shit. Y'all fucking up for the secular people that now we have to listen from woman. You shouldn't be putting your thing on other people's thingies, right? But
hey, Red, I do want to say something. I've been wanting to say this.
Yeah, go ahead, Marty.
So just to wrap it up, I'm just going to say this and I'm done. The marriage represents the church. You have the man as the Godhead, right? And then you have the woman. So I think that if you are going to churches, you know, your church that we have in Orthodoxy, I'm just making a brief reference real quick. If you do have problems in your marriage, that's why we have church fathers that we can go to. We have confession, things like this. It's already baked into the pie when it comes to this. In a lot of other religions, like they can be absent this, but as far as Orthodoxy, it's built into where we have somebody we can go to. And if you are in a marriage, you would tell your husband or wife, you know, I do have to go to confession and I am obligated to say this if I want to go ahead and seek salvation. That must be a thing that's baked in. And we talk about infidelity, things like this. If it goes past infidelity, once again, you go to the fathers of your church and you go ahead and confide with them and you concede with things and all this. So Orthodoxy has all this baked in. I don't know what anybody else believes in, but we do have answers and solutions for this. But yeah.
I want to thank the dirty dude for the probably $12 thingy. I just can't see it because I got it in errors. Thank you very much for the PayPal, brother. And I want Neve to actually take us home on the Neve. Which system do you think is better? This because we're having this discussion. Like when I got to this place, like 90% of the conversations, and it was actually on. like Teriak said on the speaking, you were like secularism versus like Christianity. Which one actually is more conductive to a better relationships and all that, right? And by the way, I have a hot take on porn. If anyone wants to debate, porn is actually good to society. Yeah, shout out to Mia Khalifa. So, Neve, what do you think? Like, if you had to pick one, which one do you think it will work better for relationships? Like secular relationships, or let's go with. I'm not versed on Christianity. I know the Pope is Catholic and Orthodox is different, but let's go with kind of mainstream Christianism. What do you think actually works better? You muted. You're not muted, but you are muted. Oh, you changed the settings. You're talking to your people, right, Neve? I see what you're doing. Neve is on Discord talking with their goons. I know. Hey, goons, if you're watching this, half of them don't like me, but I like them back.
Hello. No, sorry, my mic is absolutely cooked. I think the religious framework that emphasizes having children and procreating is ideal for society. So in a perfect circumstance, if the in practice it conveyed in a way, I think that would be good. But I think the reality of the situation is obviously more complex. I would just advocate for choice, and I try to do so in all areas of my life. So,
is there any religion that allows me to have like 7 wives, but I only take care of one? No.
Nah, man.
And they have to be faithful to me, and if they're not, we can stone them. I'm going to look. There's 10,000 gods. That's probably one that actually push for that. They are my wives, but I don't have to take care of them. Let me read the super chat real quick, and then we are out. And sorry for us not going to the prompt, because actually the prompt had interesting questions. I'm going to try to revisit this soon because we.
Hey, Fatty, did you say you're pro porn? If you're going to have this debate, I'd like to challenge you on that. I'm against that.
Corn?
Yes, I'll challenge you on that. I'm against it, and I have a strong argument that's not even religious against it.
There's a very easy win, but we will definitely do that on the next.
I doubt it. Go ahead.
There's a very.
You can try.
Yeah, I'm telling you, but there's a trap. Like every time it's very obvious that the person is at disadvantage, you shouldn't take the debate. I'm telling you.
I'll take it. It's not a trap. I already know it's not a trap. I'll take you on that, and I wouldn't even use religion to even do it, to even win. So
I'll got you. On the next 10 days, we'll find a little spot to go ahead and to debate that. Let me read. Okay, do we have the stalker? Princess Cammy says, beautiful people. Salute to the panel. Kisses. Every time she only sends super chats every time Cheeky is here, and I guarantee you, as soon as Cheeky left the room, she left too. Hey, Cammy, you still on the chat? Absolutely not. I know where she is. Traitor. Donnell, thank you very much for the Untouchable membership. I appreciate you, brother.
The Untouchable Empire, baby.
We have CBZ in the building saying, Princess Cammy, confess your love to him now. CBZ only is here when Red is here too. I noticed that. I'm thinking. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Long time no see, Chris. We have Troublemaker Jack. Spiritual Man are red flags. These cheeky fuck. Thank you very much, Jack. Jack says, people who agree with me are also red flags. Thank you very much for comproving what I always thought. Zarex gifted 1 Untouchable memberships. We love you. Thank you very much,
The Untouchable Empire, baby.
The lovely Misty Blue gifted 1 Untouchable membership. Thank you very much.
The Untouchable Empire, baby.
Appreciate you. We have Jack back again. Says, big facts, Cammy. I agree with you. LOL, do better. 2025. Also, chicks with an X in their name are green flags. All right. I'm going to add out. Thank you very much, Jack. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Troublemaker, Jack. Shout out to House Husband 2025. Biggest supporter, Cammy. She's the real MVP. Someone get this woman House Husband, please. Nah, get her too. I'm out. And I see Jake in the chat. Let him be. Tomorrow is going to be the end game, but let him be for today. Tomorrow, make sure we hash out the problems that we have today. Carl Anderson, thank you very much for the 5 Untouchable memberships. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your kindness. Always appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I believe that there's multiple so-called black leaders who believe that they are untouchable.
The untouchable empire, baby.
John Erie says, no one on the Bible existed. Jesus, Paul, Moses, etc. They are biblical characters and not historical figures. Uh-oh. I can't believe there's no way. No. Is Diesel is the auto message thing. It doesn't know how to use it. Nobody active. It's the auto message. He doesn't know how to use it correctly. I got you, Diesel. Thank you very much. John Erie, $5. No one. Oh, I got it. Thank you very much, John Erie. John Erie back again says God is a tool used for populist control, the fearful and subservient, those who carry principles, the value intrinsically needs nothing else. Thank you very much. We have Philly Old Ed with the membership. I hope you're doing good, Old
The
Ed.
untouchable empire, baby.
John Henry saying the last vestige of slavery is black folks believing in non-existent savior pushed upon them through imprisonment. Think about that for a moment. Stockholm Syndrome at its finest. With 5 more to go, John Henry says, Wife School podcast, are you attempting to witness so you get your crown? I didn't get that. That sounded like a date request. James Moore, $2. Marty, what is the gospel? I don't know. I don't think Marty is here.
Yeah, I'm here.
No, you're here. What is the gospel? I don't understand the question.
The gospel, I would say the word of Christ, the word of God. He was living word. That's the gospel.
Thank you very much. John Henry, belief is for what is not, cannot be proven, whereas knowing means the facts are present. I know Jesus never existed, while others believe he did. Call me crazy, but never a Christian. John Henry saying, how many know Serapis was prayed to before Jesus? He says, Wife School, do you believe XX and XY exists? Point out XX and XY individuals on the panel without hesitation. It's not about being right. It's about being factual. Thank you very much. We have 5 untouchable membership from Sanson. Thank you very much, Sanson. I saw Eros. I think I know who you are, but I appreciate you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for this. Not 5, but 6 untouchable.
I believe that there's multiple so-called black leaders who believe that they are untouchable.
The untouchable empire, baby.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And then we have Samson with the $20. Not $20, 20 euros. Thank you very much, Samson. Salute to you. Thank you very much for the support. John Erie with his last one. He comes in and he says, folks, this is a no harassment zone. Have your disagreements, but keep your bigotry. SBC podcast, are you picking up what I'm putting down? Don't cost Fatty's channel with that shit. It's not about even costing the channel. I believe in reciprocity. I believe you should be nice to people that be nice to you. I didn't see Neve today being an asshole. So it's just every day, day to day. Even my enemies can come on my show and ash it out. We treat each other on a respectful level day to day. If Neve comes with the smoke, smoke her back. If Neve doesn't come with the smoke, be respectful. That's all.
I'm always respectful. I always let people talk. I've never had a contentious belief. And I'm known for going to panels and building bridges, Fatty. So I don't know what you're fucking talking about right now. But
yeah, the last time you saw Cooley disagrees.
It's not me.
Somebody lies. Yeah. Now somebody, I don't know who, but I'm telling you, somebody's lying.
Yeah, y'all need to go watch Sarah the Raging Tomato with Cooley on the panel. And Cooley's just there, just talking, and Neve comes in.
He ran.
Oh, why did he run, Neve? Because you were nice.
Because he was getting cut.
Pull him up.
He was getting cooked.
I was getting cooked. I see it's good.
He got cooked.
Adrian, you didn't go down like that, huh?
He got cooked.
What the innocent. You see, I know the difference between that and I'm not a religious
It's
person.
okay to get in the sauna once in a while. I'll get cooked.
Lady Chan, I thought I wasn't religious, but I kind of am, to be honest. Do you live by those principles, though? You can't believe in the devil if you don't believe in God. There's actually a lie. Everyone can, like, words have meanings. Devil, demon, Satan. I can believe in something that I made in my mind to, and it doesn't have to go strictly towards your definition of devil and Satan. I can do that. It's very easy to do, actually. To me, a demon is somebody that does demonic things on this planet. It has nothing to do with hell, has nothing to do with Satan. To me, is somebody that behaves on a demonic way, meaning you go out and spread chaos, terror, and all that shit. I could say that.
But you still said it's attributed to the devil.
No, but that's
no, but what she's getting at, what the comment's getting at, is this whole concept of you can't have hot without cold. Like you need to have some other like polar opposite.
Yeah.
So if you have like this divine picture of both, if you this like if you believe that evil, pure evil, existed in the world, then you must also exist. You must also hold the belief that like some divine superior kind of like thing exists as well.
I agree, and both of them cannot be connected to religion. I can believe in absolute evil, and I can believe in absolute good without even connected to religion. Like there's a not a saint, but somebody in our country that is celebrated and as a national holiday when the Moors were invading the city, and there was like a big gate to get open. Like the troops needed to go through the gate to actually stop the Moors, and the dude literally put himself in between. I don't know what you call it, the edge of the door, like, you know, the little thing, and he put himself there so they couldn't close the gate, and he died crushed, right? I believe that's the true definition of righteousness. You are sacrificing your life for your family, for your people, for your country. That has nothing to do with religion. I will say that person, I don't call him a god, but I call him a righteous person. So I believe there's a lot of people in this planet doing a tremendous amount of pain and spreading a tremendous amount of terror and evil, and that has nothing to do with God. It has to do with actions and human behavior. Like you polluting the river or cutting on budget on construction spending and putting asbestos and everybody's going to die with cancer. Now you know that building pipelines with lead are going to kill thousands, if not millions, and you still do it because you want to do a profit. I think that's demonic. And even if I say that is demonic, it has nothing to do with God. It has to do with negative actions on this planet. And you can still be I'm not going to say that because that will be a bit too much. Car connoisseur. How do you say this word? Connoisseur, right?
Concierge.
Connoisseur.
They think of the French people.
Concierge.
Is somebody that knows about cars, right?
No.
There's a word called consigliere. That's the guy that is on the hotel, right? Consigliere, like something like that. He's like the dude that's on the door of the hotel that tells you.
He's the server. Yeah.
Yeah, concierge is like a porter for vehicles.
You are an expert. You know a lot about cars.
It's a valet. No, it's more than a valet.
Italian or French.
No, it's not a valet.
What? Car concierge.
No, it's different.
His name means he wheels and deals cars, essentially.
No, I think connoisseur means that you are an expert on something.
Oh, connoisseur. A connoisseur.
A wine
but that's
connoisseur.
not connoisseur.
No, but that's the word that Fatty's getting mixed up right now. Concierge and connoisseur.
Man, let me use ChatGPT. I don't trust you. What the fuck is this shit? What does
CONOUSIE URRE
typically refers to somebody that assists with personal service. God damn it, that's the guy from the hotel. That's crazy.
That's it, exactly.
I thought you was like the wine expert. The guys that do, I'm connoisseur. I know about
it's sort of like how they did on we ain't gonna say the balloon show where they would make these crazy name tags up. Well, I'm a pigeon trainer.
I'm a pigeon.
No, you just sweep the poop. You know what I'm saying?
And you better stop reviewing that Pop the Balloon show because today I got
morning, guys.
I got 3 notifications today. They said, nope, you can't make money off this shit anymore. You better stop it. So it is what it is.
People.
Yeah, but I still don't know about that. I'm going to review other Pop the
We all know where that came from. The man husband.
I'm going to review other Pop the Balloon shows just out of spite because I'm you're taking my money. I don't understand that. Anyone is going to go live right about after the show so I can send everybody to you? Anyone? No.
I sent a message, wife school. I want to continue the conversation. You in?
Oh shit!
All right.
It's going to have round 2. When is going to round 2 to be? When is going to be the round 2?
We can do it in 30 minutes.
It's time to
do. Nino Nation is live. So Nino Nation started the show.
What time he started?
Yes, he started the show, but again, Miss Red Lipstick Vibes and the Wife School are going to get a part 2. So please go ahead. The links are on the chat and the description. And send me the link too so I can promote it too. Okay, Red. I appreciate y'all. Paulo, keep going to the barber, bro. You're doing great. Looking sharp. You lost 10 years. So you lost 10 years. No, you gained 10 years of youth. So I appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much once again for being here. Salute to you. Mr. Teriak, we have to practice our New York accent better. Because these good folks, they don't understand what the other people on this side of the pond, they don't understand. Yours is actually
just get subtitles. Just get subtitles to appear.
Yes. Even my Russian accent is not that good. That's fucked up. Thank you very much for being here. I'm very disappointed actually that Neve says, "Can you say it again?" And then I repeated, and she said, "I don't know." Yeah. That's crazy. Thank you very much, Seriak. Patty Red, thank you very much for being here too. I appreciate you. And Wife School, thank you very much for being you and Marty to be the people that got the flag of Christianity here. I appreciate your input. I don't think nothing less of you because you don't believe in what I believe. I actually believe if you use your religion to be a good person in this planet, more power to you. And I appreciate you. Okay, thank you very much for being here, Marty. In the next 10 days, we're going to make sure we debate that. But I appreciate you here on Morning State of Environment. And Neve, thank you very much for pulling up and not being mean to me today.
Never mean.
Today. So we're going to go back
it's not in my nature.
It's totally fine. So just making sure, please, my editor, Mr. Player One, record this. We're going to put this on the vault. So next time Neve acts crazy, we kind of know exactly what's going on. But thank you very much for being here. Everybody, let's go to Nino Nation. I appreciate you. Oh, more super chats. That's crazy. John Harry, 3 words. Dr. Ray Eggins. I don't know who that person is. Car connoisseur, consigliere, connoisseur. Thank you very much for the 5 untouchable memberships, brother. This man was called Twisted Pup. I could say that shit, and now I can't. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. And finally, continue. Search What Shall We Do with Jesus on YouTube to pull on the thread of Christianity bound around the minds of God. That's probably exactly what I'm going to watch. Friends, I appreciate y'all. Oh, Cap, you said Cap? That's crazy. I appreciate y'all.
Say nothing. I laughed.
You are live?
No, not now. I said 30 minutes.
Yes, but I'm going to send people to Nino because he's live already. In 30 minutes, Red is going to go live. Okay? So Team Fatty and the Untouchables. I see you, Marty. Don't worry about it. I appreciate you. Team Fatty and the Untouchables signing out. Peace.
Psych!
Who's calling that shit? Who's calling that shit? Yeah, OVO Sound 2025.